Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the last Rugby World Cup warm-up game for the both of the Springboks and the All Blacks. Now, we were slightly delayed in the start. Unfortunately, my Wi-Fi decided it didn't want to work, but we have got it sorted now. We're ready to go for this exciting fixture just 2 weeks out from the Rugby World Cup. But I hope you guys are all doing well. We are currently sitting 5:05 a.m. here in New Zealand. Wasn't going to be missing this game though. It should be an electric one. Quite a few changes made for both of these teams. And they'll be looking to build momentum heading towards their Rugby World Cup in France. We will look first of all through at the All Blacks side. It is Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles and number 2 and Tyrell Lomax slotting in as number 3. So throughout the Rugby Championship we did see de Groot and Lomax as that combination that the All Blacks went with more times than not. Dane Coles only getting the start in the game up against Argentina for the first match of the Rugby Championship. Sam Whitelock will be at number 4 with the informed Scott Barrett slotting in as the number 5. I believe that they will try and mitigate the amount of control he has of the game, and one man to do that will certainly be Eben Etzebeth. Luke Jacobson at 6. That is due to the injury that we saw of Shannon Frizzell. Number 7, it is Sam Cane, the captain, and Artie Savia. And number 8, and any time it's Savia versus Dwayne Vermeulen, fair bit of power out there on a rugby field. Aaron Smith at 9 with Richie Mo'unga at 10, the preferred combination. I believe the combination that the All Blacks will be going with throughout this Rugby World Cup. Geordie Barrett and Rico Ioane, the same can be said about that midfield combination. Mark Talia out on the left wing, the electric Will Jordan out on the right, and Beauden Barrett slots in at number 15 for the Springboks. Looking through at their side, it will be Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marks, and Franz Malhalba as the front row. So I believe, once again, the strongest front row they could have gone with for the Boks in this contest. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert. A little bit of a change there. We've seen Mostert play more of 7 this year rather than 5. But he has, of course, got it up his sleeve. Sia Khaleesi, recently returning from his injury, returns to number 6. Peter Steptoe at 7 and Dwayne Vermeulen there as the number 8. Faf de Klerk and Mani Lebok, the 19 combination. Lebok, his kicking was criticised for the last contest. I'm hoping he has a better performance here off the kicking tee, because in the backline wise, this passing and his running game is very solid last week. Up against Wales, Andre Esterhuizen with the change at number 13. It is Kane Moody, so he played out on the right last week, had himself a relatively successful game. Jesse Creel playing at 13 actually played pretty well also, but they have decided to give Moody that chance at 13. And I would almost argue that this backline that the Springboks have gone with in this side, it's certainly experimental, but it also seems to be maybe, I'd consider it an injury cover backline in terms of whereabouts players can play just in case. I'm sure that Makazole Mapimpi and Kurtley Arinsa at the moment both would like that left wing spot, but if there's an injury, maybe Arinsa does have to drop to the right wing. Moody can move into centre if needed, so they're just covering what they need for that World Cup. Number 11, Makazole Mapimpi, like I mentioned. Kurtley Arinsa out on the right wing, and Damien Valimza at number 15. But looking through at the chat we have got there, is there a cap for a reason, says Rudy, mainly because the hair was sitting off in all different directions, plus it kind of matches the suit. So I thought I'd go with it just for the sake of it. We have got there, good morning team, says Jan, good morning Kiwi lads. This is it, decides who wins, or who's the best, says Spider-Mick. Although this game, I would also argue, yes, it's going to hurt for the team that loses it, but it's not going to be the end of the world. There's still going to be that World Cup just around the corner, and both of these sides will be thoroughly looking forward to the challenge. New Zealand, their first game will be up against France. For South Africa, their first game up against Scotland. Morning, Kiwi lads, says Spider-Mick. And also come on the box, says Keenan. Box win by 20 points, smashing form, says Warren, and All Blacks will win, says Neo. Quality squad from the box, says Keenan. We have got there, yes, Hamish, looking forward to your outlook. Whereas Colby, they are resting Chisel and Colby. A few of the other names that are being rested from this game, Damien Dialendi, he will not be there in the midfield. In the 4-pack, they have decided to rest quite a few of those loose forwards overall. And Jean Klein and RG Snyman, not in the starting lineup, but both actually coming off the bench, because the Springboks have gone with that 6-2, which is actually the same as what we do see for the All Blacks as well. We have got their World Cup final preview, says Wimpy. I mean, it could be, or it could be the quarterfinal preview, because these two sides may actually end up matching up in the draw a lot earlier than a lot of people want to see them. It'd be nice to be optimistic, but I just think it's a little too late in form compared to France and Ireland. Says Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. So you're saying that these two sides aren't in form, or are you saying France and Ireland aren't in form? Because I think a lot of people have been surprised with how Ireland and France have played recently, that they haven't quite been themselves like they were during the Six Nations, those November internationals last year. Looking sharp, Kiwi lad. Hope for a good clean outing for both teams. Let's play ball, says Scott David George. And the big thing here, I've heard it a lot, but injury. We do not want to see any injuries throughout this contest, because if we start seeing injuries now, that completely changes who these sides will have in their Rugby World Cup squad. In most games of international rugby lately, we have seen at least one injury. Last weekend, it wasn't actually too bad. I think for Wales versus South Africa, we may have only seen one slight one, and that was for a Welsh player. So hopefully that is the case in this one as well. We don't have too many injuries. Love when the two best rugby teams of all time play. Let's go the All Blacks, says Lord 7th. And also we have got there, what time is it in New Zealand? It is currently 5:10 a.m. in New Zealand. So very early for us here, but definitely worth getting up nice and early. And I should mention the game is about an hour and 20 minutes away. So it's a little while, but we've got so much build up for this game, and there always is so much talk around this fixture that time will absolutely fly by. Where's your green and gold, Amish? You're on our mate, or you're our mate now, lad. I've got the yellow on the kit, or on the hat, if that helps, and then a bit of green on the pitch behind me. So I got just as much green and gold as the AB's black in this one. Not sure who's going to win. I want good rugby, no red cards, no injuries, says Jan. And that is another good point. Yes, injuries will hurt teams, but suspensions will hurt them as well. England at the moment, they've got Owen Farrell out with a suspension. They've got Billy Vunipola out with a suspension. For Scotland, Xander Fagerson. For Japan, I think they have about 3 players who are still out and about. So that is definitely going to be impactful depending on who gets red carded or gets yellow carded, or if there are any cards throughout this game. Hey, just think the whole world rugby community has amnesia. Remember how the world hated the box style and the way they play it? Why is it so little, or why is so little, almost none, about how the box style have evolved? Says Hannes in there. I mean, if you've been reading the Kiwi Lads chat, you would see that quite a few people have been praising the box for the way that they've been playing. Maybe you're just looking in the wrong direction. Anyone who's new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. As an English fan, I hope you all have a great time watching. Probably going to be better than the decent, dreadful English games. Says Akaris. And of course, England going to be playing tomorrow night. That is up against Fiji. These are the other fixtures that we have got coming up in the world. Now, don't worry so much about that little 1 day, 9 hours mark. That is just from when I did get the screenshot. But England taking on the Fijians. That is at 2:15 a.m. New Zealand time. We will be covering that one on the channel. Scotland played Georgia at the same time as Italy taking on Japan. Alongside that, Portugal versus Australia A. And I have to say, this Australia A side is actually almost looking stronger than what we may see for the Wallabies versus France team. Spain versus Argentina, Chile versus Argentina XV, so a little bit of South American flair there. And then Ireland versus Samoa, that is at 6:45 a.m. New Zealand time. We will also be covering that one on the channel, and that is not the last game of the weekend though, because there is France versus Australia, and that game we will be covering on Monday morning, just before we head to work. So it will be a very exciting weekend of rugby. Kiwi Lads rock the best channel so far. I'll be screaming in the snail race if you guys were on it. Awesome work, bro. Fab info. Says Warren Allen, thank you very much. And where is Colby? Says Vian de Klerk. He is not playing in this game. They have decided to rest him for this contest. Yes, he has a brilliant track record when playing up against the All Blacks. And yes, he could be a player that could have lit this pitch on fire. But they do not want to risk his injury. So that is why he's been left out and making sure that he's going to be 100% for that World Cup. Because the Springboks have got a relatively tough World Cup campaign when it comes to their group stage matches. And we are going to be looking through at them right now. Now, I did mention about my Wi-Fi just a little bit ago, and due to that Wi-Fi, it did actually get rid of my Springboks upcoming fixtures, but I got it back now, so we will be able to look through exactly who they are going to be playing. Their first game is only in 16 days' time. That is South Africa taking on Scotland, 3:45 a.m. New Zealand time. Now, I should mention we are covering all the South Africa and the All Blacks games throughout this Rugby World Cup, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But they start with Scotland. That game's going to be very telling. seeing as Scotland seem to be in decent form heading into this World Cup. The question mark, though, is how do Scotland match up with Georgia? And tomorrow night, we will know exactly that. Then they've got Romania in 23 days' time. Quite a few Monday games for us, actually, now that I look through for us here in New Zealand. 8 a.m. they will be taking on the Irish on the 24th of September, New Zealand time. So that will be evening in South Africa at around 10 p.m. And then South Africa taking on the Tongans. That is the last game of their pool. But for New Zealand, they are a part of Pool A. And they are alongside the hosts, France. And in that first fixture, they will be going head-to-head with the home nation. 7:15 a.m. New Zealand time. Be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Then they have got Namibia, then Italy, and then Uruguay. Now, some would argue that New Zealand have nowhere near the caliber of opponent as what the Springbok do throughout their World Cup group stage. But the thing is, these two sides can still face off in the quarterfinals, depending on who is first and who is second in their group. And if it's not those two sides facing, more than likely going to be the opposition of France as well as Ireland. So there's a lot on the line. This game is one of those ones that everyone just wants to see a good, clean game of rugby. Of course, people want to see physicality and as well as some big shots along the way, but injury avoidment is the biggest thing here. We'll be watching again all the way from China, says Paulo. So welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Sorry, you AB supporters, but you are going to bleed tonight, says Lawrence. That sounds like a threat, Lawrence. You got to be careful putting that on the internet. And breaking news, Hamish, Steve Hansen helping out the Wallabies. He is. And I feel like a lot of people are overreacting to the fact that he's helping the Wallabies because at the end of the day, he's a rugby coach. If he's not allowed to coach rugby, I don't know what he's allowed to do. Does he have to not help coach anyone else because he once coached the ABs? Or is he allowed to have that coaching prowess under his belt? Guys, the AB's going to draw or going to win. Just accept it, says Polly Bear. And ABs have a cakewalk compared to the box in the pool stages, says Hanger Rat. But the big question is that going to actually hurt them more than benefit them? Yes, some of the games may not be as challenging, but during a World Cup pool stage, isn't that when you want to be tested the most so that you're all sound, ready to go for those playoff games? You don't want to go into it thinking, oh, this was a bit too easy. I think I mentioned their last games up against Uruguay. Are they going to win that game by 80 points and go, we're sweet, we're going to be fine, and then face someone like Box or Ireland or Scotland in the quarters and all of a sudden go, hang on, this isn't quite as easy as that group stage, and maybe that is when things do start going wrong. And thanks, man. Who have you got to win tonight, says Paolo. I predicted either side to win by 5 in this match. Payback time, Box for the win, says David Schmidt. Although, if they aren't able to get the victory here, of course, lifting that World Cup once again would be the biggest payback they could get for themselves. So All Blacks come on, my All Blacks. I'm ready for this gigantic clash of heavyweights. Says Roof, come on the Box, can't wait for this. Says Rugby Itch there. And also, evening Hamish, I see that the 10-game suspension has been decreased to 5 games. Is he still going? What do the New Zealand public think about Farrell's 3 games? Thanks for the commentary, says Joss. So, I guess common sense prevailed in terms of that Owen Farrell situation. They did end up agreeing that it was a suspension, definitely for a re-offending individual, as Owen Farrell is. So he's going to be missing the first 2 games of the Rugby World Cup. I think they've definitely got to try and find that consistency, though, as we head towards France, because if some decisions are getting more time than others, even though they're very similar challenges, that is going to be where people start to get a little bit more annoyed. And luckily for this case, they were able to step in and say, we need to make sure that this does go right. Anyone know the attendance numbers at Twickenham tonight? I believe they're expecting about 83,000 or something along those lines for this fixture. So a relatively large crowd for this game, as would be expected for a Springboks versus All Blacks game. And that is when neither side of the home nation as well. So that just tells you how much people love watching these two sides play. Michael has put, Amish, how many minutes or hours till the game starts? So it is about an hour and 10 minutes away. But we are going to be looking through at these two sides' World Cup squads, as well as their previous fixtures, upcoming fixtures, and key players, and everything along those lines. And Kiwi lads rock a big time. Hamish looking smooth in his suit and tie, says Roof there. And evening Hamish from Berlin, says Stuart. And Jazz is watching from Gran Canaria in there as well. How good does it feel? Game day for an All Black Springboks game, says Kirk P. Yeah, I've been excited for a long time. Luckily, it's a 6:30 a.m. kickoff, which isn't actually too bad for us here in New Zealand. I went to sleep nice and early last night so that I could wake up early for this game. Because, yeah, it's just got that really big feel to it. And to be honest, even though it's a warm-up game for the World Cup, this is a match that we could see happening as soon as the quarterfinals, as late as the final in the Rugby World Cup. They can't play each other in the semis. The draw doesn't allow it. I do love the suit and combo cap combo. Says Enzo, I heard that today is a sellout and tomorrow's England game at the same stadium, only 50% sold. Says Joss Pike. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky for them overall because England just aren't playing their best rugby at the moment. They're taking on the Flying Fijians, who of course will add a lot of excitement into that game. And I actually mentioned it in my preview for that game. I believe that that may actually help England more than playing a structured side, because if they were taking on someone with a hyper structure, England just don't seem to be able to find their momentum. Whereas with the Fijians, allowing free-flowing rugby might actually mean that England can get something going in that backline. We have got there from info, sheep shaggers going down, boys. There you go. Bit of trash talk before the game. We like to see it. We have got there, you'll see next year, Billy will introduce shoulder padding for all teams so that future shoulder charges tackles will be accepted. Says Jan, and good day, mate. Says Julius, welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. And finally, England gets to see Tier 1 nations play. Says Argy Bargy. We have got there, I'm having a glass of white crispy Chardonnay wine. That sounds a bit fancy, doesn't it? And hot Mexican chili chips and Hamish's super commentary. What a combination. Says Roof, and how's it? So about to watch the best two teams in the world go at it, says Campo. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game, and a lot of people actually thought that we may have seen a bit more of a reshuffle in terms of who we see play for this round. The Springboks versus All Blacks is one that when it was announced, people were concerned because of the fact that it is so close to a Rugby World Cup, and there are easily the chances of seeing injuries for these games. They're just showing the last time that the All Blacks played the Springboks, it was actually in the Rugby Championship. We will be talking about that game, although we should expect something very different in this contest, because the start to the match that the All Blacks had the last time that these two sides played was absolutely insane. They were able to score try after try early on. Who do you think, or do you think scrum time will be highly competitive tonight? I believe so. I think that last time these two sides played in the Rugby Championship, neither side were able to find that momentum that they had in round one of the championship, with New Zealand taking on the Pumas and South Africa dominating the scrum up against the Wallabies. All Blacks to win by 40, says Ian Foster. And I went to bed at like 9:30 p.m. It's been all day at the hospital visiting my dad, and it was a lung infection. Says, no, Mum, so hopefully he will be all right there. No, Mum, hopefully you managed to get plenty of sleep as well. And if not, today you might need to catch up on some. And my mum cheer for England. I go Fiji. Sorry, Mum, says Spider Mick. And also we have got there the South African flags from Rudy in the chat. But anyone who hasn't already seen the lineups, we did look through at the starting sides. We will, of course, be looking through at them again before the match gets underway. But first of all, we will look through at the benches, and to a lot of people's surprise, the All Blacks mixed it up a little bit more than we are used to seeing. They have gone with the 6-2 split in this contest. Taukiaho, Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Null as the front row replacements. Josh Lord and Tupavai. I don't think anyone expected to see both of those names on the team sheet for this game. Dalton Papali at number 21 to cover that loose forward trio, although I should mention that Tupavai can play 6. Scott Barrett also has 6 up his sleeve if needed, so I believe they've got enough cover, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they actually decide to use those players that they have got available. Like I mentioned, they're not used to having that extra forward, so I don't know whether that will help the All Blacks later on in the game more, because we have seen them slightly slow down in some of their previous fixtures. Not so much their Bledisloe Cup game. Seemed to be when the bench and the subs came on for them, that was actually when the momentum started forming. Cam Roygaard, the youngster, at number 22, and Anton Leonard-Brown at 23. I slightly expected to see David Havili's name there, mainly because he has just come back from injury. Did play for the Tasman Marcos in one game of the Bunnies EBC for South Africa. Bongi Mbanambi, Oxnashe, and Trevor Nakanye. One player coming back from injury there in Nashe. He did get himself the chance in last week's game up against Wales. Jean Klein and RG Snyman, the two locking replacements, which is interesting because both sides actually going with 2 pure locks as their 19 and 20. Maka van Staden, number 21, turnover machine in the URC for the Vodacom Bulls. Kobus Reinach and also Willie LaRue, his experience going to be crucial for the Boks later on in the game. We have got in the chat, hey dude, I used to do a video with Forever Sports, says Archie Barchi. We haven't actually done one yet, which is quite surprising, I guess, but hopefully at some stage we can get round to doing it. Maybe if it was the final of the Rugby World Cup, it would be the perfect time to be able to do it. A huge game for both sides tonight. Go the Boks, says Jason, and 6-2 split tells you that New Zealand are backing their forwards to stand up against the Boks, says Polo. It's a cute dance, says Jibaji there, and got that. I love that. I'm ready for an exciting match, says Ruth. And Richie Moong is still awesome and king. And I think the battle at 10 is going to be very intriguing tonight. Mani Libok, who wasn't kicking that flash last week, but still has a tremendous running and passing game, which I think some people are underappreciating. They're seeing the fact that he's only sitting about 1 kick from 4, and then they go, nah, he shouldn't be the 10. But at this stage, if Pollard is not back, Mani Libok will be the fly half because they haven't really got a better option. So in that regard, I feel like Mani Libok, I said that he's going to be one of the key players for South Africa and one of the players who do step up in this game. If he can kick it about, let's say, 70% accuracy or somewhere around there, maybe even 60, it would still be a big improvement for him. Are we ready to kick some ass? Says Julius. Did you watch the Turbos Northland game, lad? I didn't get to watch all of it. I got to see up till half-time where it was 19-17, I believe, in favour of Manawatu. I've seen the end score, though, so very close game of the Bunnings NPC, and it just shows that it's such an unpredictable competition that there is no way really to judge who is going to walk away with a victory till it has happened. Kiwi Lads commentary is superior to any other. Says Jan, I bet AB's hammer France in the opener. Says Archie Bargy, and France up against Australia I think will be a very good test for them because they haven't looked quite as clinical as they have been in the past, France. Up against the Fijians, I think it was just that unique Fijian style that made it tricky for them to be able to score as many points as they would have liked. They had that close game up against Scotland, and actually both regards. We have got there, Go the Boks, says Derek, and also we have got there Justin 100%, and King Bubba says, Faraz, bro, what's your thoughts on Bubba Razam? He's all right in there. He's not a bad player. And Morning Mate says, Riding Eye, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. But looking through at the previous fixtures that we have seen played by the Springboks, they have had the 4 games of the Rugby Championship. In fact, we're going to add Wales in there as well, seeing as they did play that game more recently. But the first game of the Rugby Championship up against the Wallabies, winning at 43 points to 12, which really set the tone for their Rugby Championship campaign, looking dominant in that game. The forwards were strong, which is why with the 4-pack they've gone in this contest, I feel they will be able to have a real impact, but that was a pretty one-sided affair. Australia getting the first try, as well as the last try in that game. The Boks getting about 7 in between, though. New Zealand in that next game, they were able to get themselves the victory over the Springboks, which I know was a bit more of a one-sided affair than we thought it would be in terms of the scoreline. All Blacks started that match extremely well. Springboks ended it with their bomb squad extremely well. And that is why this game is so intriguing, because the Springboks have gone with what a lot of people feel will actually be their forward pack for this Rugby World Cup, maybe with the exception of one player or something along those lines. So I'm wondering how dominant the Springboks can try and be up front here in this contest, because if they can get New Zealand on the back foot and not allow the Kiwis to get that momentum early like they had the last time these two sides faced, scoreline could look completely different. They had their close game up against Argentina where they were able to get themselves that victory, 22 points to 21, narrowly squeezing past Los Pumas, and then they were able to win their first Rugby warm-up game, a Rugby World Cup warm-up game up against the Pumas, 24 points to 13. Then last week, they were on a pretty good run. 52 points to 16. They look clinical. Great performances from Jesse Creel, Cannon Moody. You name it, that back line was firing. And the fact that they've made a few changes this week might mean that it takes a little bit more time to get cranked up. But once it is firing, it's very hard to stop them from scoring a lot of points. Now for the All Blacks in their Rugby Championship fixtures. I've had a few of them. And we are going to go like that. There we go. Like I mentioned, my Wi-Fi cut out just before this live stream, so some of the pictures were missing, but I got this one back. That is the All Blacks and their Rugby Championship campaign. 41 points to 12, a very similar scoreline to what we did see in the Springboks versus Wallabies game. They were able to win their game up against South Africa. That was actually the only time that these two sides have faced so far this year. This will be the second and the third. Could be in the quarters or the final of the Rugby World Cup, 38 points to 7 in favour of New Zealand in their first Bledisloe Test match against the Wallabies, and then winning the second one 23 points to 20. They had to come back from being about 17 points down in that game, but they were able to dig deep and get themselves over the line. In the chat, we have got Blackadder back for Tasman this weekend. Do you think he will get a late call-up if we get a Lucy injured? I think it's probably a bit risky, to be honest, mainly because, unfortunately, he's had so many injuries back to back to back. So if he did end up getting that call-up and ended up getting injured again, that would be a big shame. I feel like if they were going to pick someone else, they would go with Samipeni Finau as that backup 6 option rather than Blackadder, which is a shame because Blackadder has been such a good player for so long. It's just the fact that he's had those injuries along the way. As an Englishman, I will be supporting the All Blacks at the World Cup because they play running rugby and England play ping pong, says Bradley Cooper. And come again, Fozzie says it was there from W. Van Vick. And Bok says Julius. And good morning, Hamish, says Daniel Watson. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Did you get the 150 views on the team selection video? Or the 150 likes for Tim to get the Fuff de Klerk wig? We certainly did. I think we ended up with about 300 and something likes on that one. So he will be getting himself a Fuff de Klerk wig for when he heads to the Rugby World Cup. No Samipeni Finau or Cody Taylor, says Joe Webby. And yeah, I think Samipeni Finau, he's one of those guys who's been a little bit unlucky. He's come in as injury cover for the ABs rather than actually in the side, which is a little bit of a shame. What channel is it on for us in New Zealand? It is Rugby, or it's Sky Sport 1. For South Africa, I'm not too sure about Super Sport, what channel it will be on. What do you think about Moody at 13? The last time we saw him playing 13 was schoolboy rugby, so it's been a little while since he's had that chance. I feel like that combination of him and Andre Esterhuizen, it's going to be quite a young duo, but it could be an effective one because it's just something completely new. We haven't really seen the Springboks go with such a young 13 alongside also a relatively young number 12 with that crash ball. And yeah, it should be exciting. I'm wondering how it's going to go with Kenan Moody at 13 and Kurtley Arinsa on his outside at 14. Just whether or not they end up trying to play a relatively similar game. Maybe he ends up getting caught a little bit further out than he should be, Moody. And that is somewhere where the All Blacks will try and make the most of that opportunity and try and get a couple of easy tries in the middle. But I don't think they'll get them because Kenan Moody's tackling might end up saving that just a bit. Good evening all, says Flesh and Go the Box, says Ben. South Africa going to get it, says Jaden in there. Good evening, Hamish and all. For myself in the UK, tidy for a Friday. Please God, no injuries or red cards come on the ABs in there as well from Kurnovec. Yeah, this game is all about, I guess, setting the tone for the Rugby World Cup, but that tone does not want to be injuries. Because if anyone gets injured, we're talking playmakers here, or we're talking main forwards. There's a list of probably, I'd say 10 players across the two sides that they certainly will not want to lose. They won't want to lose anyone, of course, but the main players. For the All Blacks, you're looking at the guys like Beauden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, Will Jordan. In the 4-pack, they definitely do not want to lose Scott Barrett just this close to a Rugby World Cup. For the Springboks, Kitsoff, Marks and Malharaba. That is the combination in the front row that they will want to go with for those big games of the World Cup. Etzebeth would be a terrible one to lose at this point. Dwayne Vermeulen, he's been in great form, so keep him rolling. Lebok, they won't want to lose him. If Andre Pollard is not available, I think Rico will be caught out on defence again, says Stuart Moore. And also we have got there, I feel like this game, they should have picked Lord or Finau over Narawa or Clark. It's a shame. Are we playing a guy today who isn't even in the World Cup squad, says Lord 7th. Who's that Lord 7th? Because they have picked Josh Lord off the bench. They haven't got Narawa or Caleb Clark in the lineup or Samipeni Finau. I assume the change you're talking about is Luke Jacobson, but he is in the squad for the Rugby World Cup. So do let me know who you are talking about. Mabibi gets subbed. LaRue comes on. Valimza moves to 13. Moody to 11. Says RJJ, and why do you wear a suit for the AB's games? Says Yvonne, I always wear the suit for the big matches. And anytime I don't wear a suit for a relatively big match, I get told off by the chat. So I always end up putting it on. That is why I got a hat as well, because if you guys saw me here, you'd be like, you have to chop that off. And the idea that Andre will somehow miraculously replace someone as wishful thinking, says Hanger Rat. It's a rumour that has been going around a lot. And because Andre Pollard has been with the side travelling, I think that's added the fuel to the fire. Lukanyuam is also with the team though, and apparently there's no chance of him being able to return. It's not just ABs. No, it's not just the ABs. I think we've done it for Super Rugby finals. We've done it for the URC final, if I'm not wrong. Also a few other competitions around the world. The Six Nations, I believe we may have done it last year as well. He wears a suit because it's like attending a funeral of the All Blacks World Cup hopes, says Power Bite 92. And also we have got there, I think Rico will get off on defence again. The South African defence coach says he's one of the best in the world. What time is the game? South Africa time. So it is taking place in around 50 minutes time. When Ireland win the World Cup, will you wear a suit? Says Yvonne. Probably not, no. It'd have to happen first. No, I'm joking, Yvonne. They've got a decent chance. I just want to see more form from them in their next game, as they haven't quite looked the same Ireland that we saw from the Six Nation. That wasn't directed at you, Hamish. Says Nazi Williams, and also 8:30 p.m. That is true, 8:30 p.m. South African time, so about 55 minutes time from now. One moment. I just sneezed, so I managed to get the mute just in time. Got the load shedding at 8. The inverter, better not giving me badness tonight, says Justin there. Yeah, a little bit of a later kickoff than what we are used to seeing for some of the South African games. For us getting through the quarters, that'll be an achievement, says Yvonne, and thanks guys, says Yako. And see the Boks going with a 7-1 split on the bench, says Henny. Are they? Are you saying Kobus Reinach is a forward in that case? This is the bench that the Springboks have gone with, unless there's a late change that I don't know about. But at this stage, they are still sticking with that 6-2 split. New Zealand doing the same, which is quite intriguing, seeing as we don't often see that from the All Blacks. But for this World Cup just around the corner, I believe they want to try and balance that workload for their forwards. With the injury of Shannon Frizzell, with the injury of Brody Retallick, they do not want to take any more risks of losing a player this close to the Rugby World Cup. For the Springboks, though, I'm looking forward to seeing how they incorporate Jean Klein as well as RG Snyman into the side, because they could go straight swap for the two locks, although we may see Mostert maybe drop to 7, take Pieter-Steph du Toit off the field. Marco van Staden, I believe it's pretty much confirmed that he will be the straight replacement for Sia Khaleesi, seeing as he's just come back from injury, although they'll want to crank up his minutes just that little bit more as we get closer to that Rugby World Cup to see whether or not he's got maybe about a 60 or 70 minute performance in him. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. See how they go. Willie out and Smith in, says Henny. Oh, so they've gone with Kwagga Smith off the bench and Willie Leroux is out. Is that correct? Henny, do let me know. And if Ireland win the World Cup, Hamish will have to perform a river dance for the crack, says Werner Kurnovic, I should say. And Springboks will not be surprised this time. See, South Africa has brought in Kwagga Smith, 7-1 split. Says Hannes, it seems like, I know Willie Leroux is injured, and I would have thought that maybe a straight replacement of him could have been maybe Cheslin Colby, Damien Dialende, someone like that. But it's as if the Springboks have gone, you know what, the All Blacks have gone with the 6-2. They don't normally do that. We'll do one better. We'll go 7-1, just because who's done that? And I feel like, you know, it's that mentality of wanting to be the best, wanting to do things for the first time that may help South Africa towards this Rugby World Cup being in great form. We have got 2 donations pretty much straight up after each other. We haven't had one up until this point, and now everyone clicking that button. Springboks will not be surprised this time, says it was there from Arcanum. And then also Franz Smith has putting my money where your mouth is, hashtag natty suit in there as well. Yeah, we did bring out the suit for this one. We've got the cap on because my hair is absolutely shocking at the moment. We're going to need a haircut definitely before this Rugby World Cup. But we've got a couple exciting videos outside of sitting doing the live streams as well in the near future. So be sure, keep an eye out for them. One of which it's required me to cut a little bit of weight because there's secrets that you're going to get to see them in a few weeks' time. So enjoy that, hopefully. And I'm pleased Roy Gard is getting a go. Says Joe Webby, and Kwagga has played 7s. But Jesus is a risky call, says Honey's there. And Kwagga Smith and fly half, says Kia. Now, the thing is, if the Springboks end up with an injury in their backline, now I don't like thinking that way because we don't want to see any injuries in this game. But if the Springboks end up with an injury in that backline and then they have to make that change of Kobeth Reinach, making the little bit of a reshuffle. They have no other back replacements, and that makes me a little bit concerned for this game. So 7-1, on paper, yes, it sounds intimidating, yes, it sounds dangerous, but in effectiveness, if they end up with an injury, it might be their worst nightmare for this game. Hey, Hamish, how's things, my man? Says Jeffrey Fockard. I'm doing very well, mate. I've just seen Justin say Kwaka at fullback. That would be very interesting to see the big man get a run. And number 15, I know that he has got that sevens experience, like someone mentioned, but seeing Kwaka as the number 15 would be a scary sight for an opposition, although would they also be like, right, if we can get on his outside, we're in here. It's time for a Boknai. Says Julius, did you say a 7-1 split? It does sound that way. From what I've heard in the chat, people have said that it is going to be Willie LaRue replaced by Kwaka Smith so that the Springboks can have that 7-1 split off their bench. And Kwaka can play anywhere, says Vitamin Green. And Franco Mostert on the wing says Kia. Etzebeth, play fly half, he'll be right. I feel like if he was the fly half, other teams would just not want to charge at him because imagine him. I'm kind of excited now with the 7-1 split. I've just got all of these things going through my head. Unfortunately, with my 7-1 split, I'm thinking of if someone gets injured, though, is the only thing. And yes, it is a 7-1 split. I'm not sure this game will go the AB's way, seeing as every game has a different box selection, which doesn't bode well, says Hangarat, and it'll be Fuff and 14 forwards, says RJJ. And Artie can play anywhere, says Joe Webber. Yeah, back in his 7s days, used to actually have a little bit of a run out on the wing. Same with Kira Ioane, although the All Blacks do not have him. And there he really doesn't worst feature in World Rugby, great at doing limited graft, getting subbed off at 60 minutes, says Power Bite. But yeah, that last minute adjustment for the box. I should mention we are only sitting around 50 minutes away from the kickoff, so anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got another donation. You guys are in a very generous mood this morning. Do I have to say that? Or this evening for you guys in South Africa. What does it say that Ian Foster chose his best All Black side for this game? If the box win, that could be a double blow for him. If he loses and gets injuries, oh dear, says Akaram or Arkanen. Sorry, struggled a little bit there, but it's a good point. I think the reason they've gone with such a strong lineup in this game is because when looking through at the All Blacks' previous fixtures, the last time they played was around 3 weeks ago. So they want to make sure that their best side are getting some minutes before heading into that first match up against the French. But then it also comes as that double-edged sword. Like you mentioned, if there's injuries in this game or if they are defeated, it does hurt the morale a little bit. I think for the All Blacks, though, they will be looking at this game as we just needed to get some game time for our main guys. And if we get the win alongside that and we are able to be very competitive, like they'll take that as a mini victory. Of course, they want to walk away with a win, though. That is the main thing on the minds. RG Sneyman and Eben Etzebeth walk into a bar. Everyone else walks out, says Maluru. And also, they're 2 scrummies and 2 packs. Split the field down the middle, says RJJ. And Sneyman and Etzebeth walk into a bar. Bent bar, says Kernovik. And also, ABs will be comfortable winners, says Saturday Player. Does this mean that the South Africans will keep it tight in the forward, says Octodad? I'd like to think so. I feel like that is in this game where they have got the advantage, the big advantage as well, I will say. Because we're getting for the All Blacks, seeing Dane Coles in action, who hasn't really had a huge amount of game time. We're seeing Luke Jacobson get himself his first crack almost of this whole Rugby Championship, other than coming off the bench early on. So there's going to be moments in this game, I believe, where the Springboks, if their 4-pack deliver the way that we know that they can, the All Blacks are going to be on the back foot. And that's going to be relatively tricky for them to be used to because normally they like to go forward, but the box can definitely push them in those first 8 players. It's lovely to get them, or for them, throwing money at you, Hamish. Great people. They appreciate your good commentary. Says Ruth, yeah, I'm not used to the donations coming as thick and fast as they have on this one, to be honest. Definitely not before the game. Normally it would be later on in the game that someone will be like, hey, here's a couple dollars. But yeah, you guys are very generous today, so it is hugely appreciated. And like I always say, any money made off the channel goes straight back into the channel. Maybe a new hat. Because this one, I mean, you can't really read what's on the top. It's actually a Kiwi Lads logo, but it just kind of blurs out due to the green screen. I wonder what a loss I would do to the Bok aura, seeing as the ABs seem to be fighting fire with fire, trying to beat us at our own game, says Vitamin Green. Yeah, it's going to be one of those ones that it may actually add more fuel to the fire for the team who loses this than the team that wins. Because I believe that whoever loses this game will be more fired up in their Rugby World Cup. And I think the loser of this game goes on to make the Rugby World Cup final. That's a very bold prediction, but I'm going with it. Let's see if it's correct. Probably not. I'm terrible at predictions. I said Northland would win last night. They lost by 1 point. But I think that whoever loses this game will just be fired up beyond belief and want to try and prove themselves when that World Cup comes around. The other side, of course, when you win the first game up against the All Blacks or the Springboks, you are expected to do well. Whereas if you lose this game, you're slightly going under the radar just that little bit. 140 South African Rand is about $8 US, says Malu there. So I believe US to New Zealand dollars is about 1.5 as well. So that's about $12, I believe, if I'm not wrong with my calculations, which it could be because I'm terrible at exchange rates. Why isn't the Etzebest name and combo never been tried this season? It's ridiculous. It's quite surprising that they haven't tried it a huge amount. And I don't know whether that's something they're trying to keep up their sleeve ready for that Rugby World Cup and something that no one's seen yet, but we know it's going to be strong. They just haven't given us it yet. So maybe for a bit today, we get to see that combo. I predict Eben is going to have a huge game tonight, says Paul Rui. I'm the same. I actually, in my preview, he was one of my key players to watch out for. In the 4-pack, I went with Etzebeth. In the backline for the Springboks, I actually went with Mani Libok because I believe if he's able to get his kicking at over 50%, but also just his natural passing game, his cross kicks, they can cause a few little problems for the ABs here. For the All Blacks and my players to watch out for, I believe I went with Scott Barrett as well as... Who was the back that I went with? Was it Will Jordan? I don't think it was Will Jordan. Who was the fella in the back line that I backed for the ABs? Did I back an ABs guy? I can't remember. Has anyone seen that video? I hope you have. Oh, we need to keep that World Cup trophy in the Southern Hemisphere, says Justin. And also 7-1, they're loading the bench with Lucy's praying that one gets injured, says Power Bite there. But they are just showing some cinematic shots of Twickenham, or at least the area around with London, and it's going to be an absolutely awesome one. I think you're right. This is not a bad game to lose if you want to light a fire under your team's ass, says Paul. And living in Germany, I haven't seen much of Jacobson. Can he do the job required without being overmotivated? I think that Luke Jacobson, this is the perfect opportunity for him to step up like he did in moments throughout that Rugby Championship last year, because not too many people really know too much about Luke Jacobson, I would argue. And that's kind of a good thing, but also a bad thing. Good thing because people are going into this game with low expectations of him, and I believe he's going to be able to blow them out of the park, because he's one of those players that he can play 6, he can play 7, and he can play 8. He prefers playing number 8, I believe. He plays there for Waikato as well as the Chiefs, but he's a very capable number 6. Anyone know where to watch this, Drew? I believe Amazon Prime might be your best bet of being able to watch this game. Although saying that, I don't think it counts as a Summer Series game, so that might actually mean that you can't watch it through through Amazon Prime. The Springboks going with a 7-1 split. We could not joking see Kwaka on the wing, and if we push some to shove, or if push comes to shove, we could see Fuff at 10. Let's play for no injuries of a serious kind, says Contender. Exactly right. As long as there are no serious injuries for either of these sides in this game, I'll be more than happy. I know that some people are dead set on who wins this game. I think it's going to be not just who's able to win this game, but I would consider whoever has the least amount of injuries, suspensions, and least amount of problems out there on the field will consider that more of a victory, maybe than the actual result. Like I mentioned, the team who loses this game will be more fired up when it comes to that Rugby World Cup, and perhaps that's exactly what both of these world-class sides want just before a World Cup competition, to have people saying you can't do it and then trying to prove them wrong. We've seen the Springboks do it time and time again. Just look at 2019. They were told before that they were not walking away with the trophy, and then to that, they set the pictures showing them holding it. It's a Sky Sports. It's on Sky Sports in Europe, I should say, from Jason. Jacobson is a number 8. With a surprise. It was a surprise he got in ahead of Finau, but not unhappy, says Joe Webby. I think the only reasoning that he was ahead of Samapeni Finau is because Finau did miss out on the initial naming of the Rugby World Cup squad. Now, with injuries, he may manage to find himself in, but this is This is the All Blacks lineup. I'm quite to the side, but as you can see, Samipeni Finau's name is nowhere to be seen. I don't know whether to go with my mouth or my eye that you guys can see just out the side. I should have adjusted this. It would have been a good idea. But another player that missed out was actually Sean Stevenson, although he was only in as the injury cover. And then I believe Dallas McLeod, the other man who did end up missing out. Actually, there were a few more along the way as well for the ABs, but Luke Jacobson was one of the names that were in there. So that is why he's getting that nod ahead of Samipeni Finau. New Zealand has gone, or is going to blow them away mentally. South Africa a week go the All Blacks. I don't know whether you can call the defending world champions weak, mentally at least, because they've shown so much mental grit and so much determination over certain years around the world for rugby. So, yeah, I don't think they are mentally weak. I think, if anything, they are just going to be more and more fired up, because every time they see a comment like that, they want to prove them wrong. And most of the time, they are able to. And Italy might lose to Uruguay, I think, says Maluru. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one in that group, because, to be honest, New Zealand are expected to either top or finish second in that Rugby World Cup group. We will look through at the groups. There we go. South Africa, they are expected to finish first or second, but more than likely first, seeing as they have been some pretty decent form. Although saying that, they cannot underestimate Ireland or Scotland, or else that might be what does hurt them a little bit. South Africa's only defeat in the last 7 matches was against the All Blacks, as a stat that they have just shown. And another stat that I need to mention, the last 10 matches that we've seen New Zealand play, they have won all of them except for the one where they did have a 25-25 draw up against the English. So this would end a winning streak if the Boks are victorious, or it would end up breaking a little bit of a streak that the ABs have had over the Springboks since last year's Rugby Championship. But the groups, I'm excited to see what Tonga can do in that one for Pool B, to be honest, because not too many people are talking about Tonga as a side to watch out for. We saw recently Israel Folau missing out on selection. They have still got a few other international caliber players, whether that's Malakai Fekitoa in the 4-pack via Fafita, a few other very handy forwards. But it's going to be extremely interesting. These are the other two groups of the Rugby World Cup as well, I should mention. Pool C and Pool D, to be honest. These are the groups that I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing, because there's so many horses that could win that 2-horse race or get those 2 spots through to the quarterfinals. I honestly feel that there are 4 teams jockeying for the spot in Pool C, and the same can be said about Pool D. My hand looked absolutely massive there. I think it was just an optical illusion. But it's going to be some exciting action coming up just around the corner for this Rugby World Cup. And like I mentioned, it's only 2 weeks away. Sad is he missing out, says it was there from Nazi Williams. And we have got there Alfa Awihami, says Spider-Mick. At the moment, we are only sitting around 38 minutes away from kickoff, so it will fly by. I can guarantee you that. Good morning, Amish. Morning all. Up the mighty All Blacks, says David the Mole. Welcome in, mate. We have got the hello from Marnitz. And what channel is the match on? DSTV. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure about DSTV, but hopefully one of our South African viewers will be able to help you out, England out in the group stages. Says Democracy with a picture of Homer Simpson. I believe it is. This game is going to be physically and mentally for the players as a test to prove players for the starting lineup when the World Cup starts. I'm a Springbok supporter, but I have a feeling a team from the Northern Hemisphere is going to take it, says Marthinus. And Fiji versus Wales, says Maluru. It's a hard one to predict. I know that Fiji are going head-to-head with England in a game just around the corner. That will actually be around 18 hours, 20 hours time, and that one will tell us a little bit about it, because we saw England and Wales challenge each other quite drastically throughout their matches, having a couple close ones, and then if Fiji are somehow able to pull off the victory over England, I feel like that adds more extra fuel, I guess you could say, to that Rugby World Cup. We'll see weather update, overcast with a slight drizzle in the air at the moment, says Stuart Moore. And there's Hamish by Maddie. It was on 7 sharp last night. I did hear something about that. Someone, I think it was actually my nana, told me that it was going to be on 7 sharp. We took her and my granddad out for birthday lunch yesterday, so I did hear a little bit of the gossip. And Pool B, Ireland and Scotland will qualify, says Brian, and the ABs by 15, says Trajan. And there as well. But looking through at a few of the other bits of information that we have got, we talked about the All Blacks World Cup squad. This is what the Springboks have gone with. Stephen Kitsoff, Vincent Koch, and Frans Malherbe as the few of the props that they've got as options, although I believe that they will actually be 3 that do get to play a majority of the matches, at least up against the top opposition. Oxnechat and Trevor Nakanye, the other 2 props that the Boks did go with. Bongi Manambi, Malcolm Marks, the 2 hookers. They only went with 2, but they have got Dion Fourie as a possible backup option if they do need it. And then he is also their loose forward cover. Jean Klein, Eben Etzebeth, Jasper Visser, Marvin Ori, Adi Sneyman, Peter Steftatoy, Sia Khaleesi returning as the captain. He's only had 1 game so far. Got himself an assist in that last contest up against Wales. Looked like he was picking up from where he left off. Kwaka Smith, Marco van Staren, Dwayne Vermeulen, Dion Fourie, like I mentioned, and Franco Mostert, the other forward the Springboks have gone with for their backline. This is where there's a lot of halfbacks. Faf de Klerk, Jaden Hendrickse, Kobus Reinach, as well as Grant Williams. Now we see Kobus Reinach, he will be coming off the bench in this game. He is the only back replacement now that they have got available in this match. Marty Lebok and Damien Valimza as the fly halves, although one is playing 15 and one is playing 10 for this match. Andre Esterhuizen, Damien Dialendi, Jesse Creel, Kurtley Arinsa, Cheslin Colby, Willie LaRue, Makazole Mapimpi, and Kanan Moody, the last man. And the side players on standby, we can see there that Andre Pollard is in that list, which is why some people feel maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that we see him back for some of the Rugby World Cup. Good evening, Amish, looking dressed for the occasion, CSCK, and Fiji, or England might be Fiji, but it will be close. And big ups to Nana Go the Box, says Rin Smith, and IQE lads from lads on an island of Mauritius. I feel like I say it wrong every time. I know the flag of the country, but unfortunately I'm not good at the pronunciation. Let the sparks fly. Says, oh, am I thinking of Mauritania maybe in Africa? I don't think it's there though, is it? Mauritius? It's Mauritius, isn't it? I think I got it in the head. Is this a warm-up? It is a warm-up. So it is not a part of the Rugby World Cup, but it will certainly be telling for how these 2 sides do approach this Rugby World Cup. One of them in this match is walking away with a victory. The other side will be more fired up, ready to go. And how about the Boks 7-1 split? OMFG, it is unheard of. And I think the big thing I mentioned earlier on as well is everyone was talking about the All Blacks going with the 6-2 split in this game because that is unheard of. So the Springboks were like, nah, not letting them talk about that. We've gone with the 7-1. So I feel like the All Blacks, next game up against the Boks, they'll go with the 8-0 just to edge it. No, they won't do that. That would be very dangerous. Definitely with the amount of injuries we've seen in recent times. Greetings and salutations from the island. This is going to be a wonderful game or wonderful occasion. I just hope there are no injuries for either team. Go the Bok. So are you on New Zealand side? Says, why? I am not. I'm completely impartial in this game, which I know annoys people because I've got a slight Kiwi accent. But as you guys know, I call these games straight down the middle. If someone's doing well, I'll tell you. If someone's doing badly, I'll tell you. I'm just excited to see a great game of international rugby just before the Rugby World Cup. When is the cutoff date for the squads to be picked for the Rugby World Cup tournament? Just so we don't have controversy when Pollard gets in. I believe it's the 1st of September, if I'm not wrong, or at least somewhere very close to that 1st of September, maybe 2nd or 3rd. But at that stage, sides do need to be locked in, and then I don't think you're allowed to change them unless there are any sort of injuries. There are rising. Come on, the All Blacks move those sweet asses over the try line, says Roof. Now, that is something you probably won't hear the coach Ian Foster saying to his team. Come on, Hamish, deep down. In your heart, you're rooting for the Kiwis, says CK, and warm-up games, so 4 injuries and 5 cards, says Democracy. Hopefully not. Hopefully we don't see any injuries here. The problem is there is going to be probably at least one. I don't want to try and predict who it's going to be, but hopefully nothing too serious for whoever does get injured in this game. Why are we all pretending that Cam Roygaard won't win the World Cup? People need to be real. He's ready to be that man, says Elon. I think the reason that people aren't getting so far behind Cam Roygaard at the moment is because they seem to be going with Finlay Christie more often than Roygaard. I actually thought that they would bring Weber into the side, and he has actually travelled with the ABs. Pollard cannot get in unless there is an injury, says Chris. Although I've heard apparently you are allowed to make last-minute changes as long as it's confirmed before about the 1st of September. What are the chances of Elton Yankee's injury or returning? Maybe. If there is some sort of injury, though, I believe is the best way of bringing a player in. And go the All Blacks, says Wynard. And I don't think the Springboks are going to win. I know they will win. says Wyatt. I like the confidence. And at the end of the day, this will be a massive game for the Boks to walk away with a victory, getting one back. And that would actually, for the overall story, right? Of course, rugby is not really purely about the storytelling aspect or the promo side of things, but we'll paint this picture for a second. All Blacks win the Rugby Championship after beating the Springboks 35 points to 20. They play 2 weeks out from the World Cup and the Springboks make it 1-1 in that series. The next time the two sides face off, Rugby World Cup final to settle the score, to finish the trilogy for 2023. Got a bit of a ring to it, doesn't it? But there's a lot of ifs, buts and maybes that have to take place for that to happen. Will this game be streamed through this, says Marty? Unfortunately, due to licensing, we're unable to show match footage or audio, but we will be providing the commentary all throughout the match, so be sure to check that out. I think South Africa have a great chance of this World Cup. People still underrate us, even though we've won it 3 times, says Nathan Barnes. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier on as well, how the Springboks, they know that some people, no matter what they do, will still end up saying they don't have a chance, but that just drives them that little bit further. I back Roygaard too. He has that X factor that will decide a big game. And also South Africa versus New Zealand is always a legendary match, says Ivan. And hello, it's Tanner from Durban, South Africa. We are passionate for our rugby. All pubs are full and we all having our good luck drinks. Go the Bok, says Tanner there. G'day, mate. All Blacks to win the World Cup and the Warriors to win the NRL. New Zealand on top, says Joshua. And that's the thing, I want to do some of the Warriors games, definitely with them getting close to the playoff matches, but I'm so scared that if I do end up doing their game, I'm going to end up jinxing them, and that will be the match that they do end up losing. So I really don't want to jinx them, but it could be quite a cool one to be able to cover as they make their way towards that final. I usually get George for an All Blacks game, says Luke. The only slight issue we've got with trying to get George in for the Rugby World Cup games is he does work normally a relatively early hour the next day. At that stage, he'll be in the silage season. So, yeah, it's a little bit tricky to get him for certain games, but we'll hopefully have him on the channel a little bit more. If you guys are missing George, though, we have got the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel, which he's been in quite a few videos as of late. Embarrassing to Leah Jordan. If this AB's team can't win, cut my toe off. Says Elon and 700 or 705 watching. Awesome, mate. Come on, chat. Like away, says Kurt. And who's the ref, says Democracy. I'm not actually too sure who stood up for the refereeing role in this game. I'm sure someone will know who it is. I assume Northern Hemisphere ref, maybe Luke Pearce. Would he be the option? Actually, or is it Jaco Piper? It might be Jaco Piper. No, it probably isn't Jaco Piper. Angus Gardner, says Michael. That's the one. I was getting all excited about the referee. Okay, got answer, says Tar. And also we have got there, I'm looking forward to watching Elon cut his toe off. That's a bit graphic, isn't it? I guess. And what time of day is World Cup games? New Zealand time. So the New Zealand time for the Rugby World Cup games, perfect example is probably to just look through at these two sides for when they are playing. So New Zealand, their games aren't actually too bad overall on a Saturday morning, to be honest. Like most of those games reasonable. For us, 7:15, 7 and also 8 a.m. Whereas South Africa, they've got a couple games taking place on the Sunday and also the Monday mornings. So we've got a 3:45 at 1 a.m., 8 a.m.s. But yeah, we'll probably come down to whether George is working on a Saturday, which most of the time during the silage season he is. Maybe if it's raining, he might be able to come round for one of those ones. And raining on the pitch today at Luke. And also, who is this? England, of whom you speak. Honey says Kurno Week, and Jaco is South African, says a username. He certainly is. I think the reason I had his name in my head was because he is refereeing the opening game up against New Zealand and France. And breaking news, Villy withdrawn due to injury. Quacker, and he certainly is. The 7-1 split for them. And how's George Mann, says Nazi? Well, he's doing very well. I was actually going to be going to a party with him tonight, but due to Fiji versus England starting at 2 a.m. and also Samoa versus Ireland at 6:45, it meant that he is going to the party and I'm going to be doing the live streams, which, I mean, to be fair, the party is quite far away, so it might work quite nicely. I might be able to go for a few hours beforehand, though. We'll have to wait and see. How's George, man? You doing well? And also we have got there, the All Blacks do a 6-2 split. Springboks say, then we'll do the 7-1. Yeah, I mentioned about it earlier on, how it's like a bit of one-upsmanship, isn't it? How it's like, hey, you've gone with that for the first time, or one of the first times, we'll just go one more. As well as New Zealand beating France in the opening game. To be honest, it's going to be a very tough test for both of those sides what happened in the Fiji-England game, that has taken place tomorrow night. So it is still a little bit further in the future, but these are the games that we have got to look forward to just around the corner. England versus Fiji, Scotland versus Georgia, Italy, Japan, then also Spain, Argentina, Ireland, Samoa. So of these games, I believe we are covering Ireland, Samoa, as well as England and Fiji, as well as France versus Australia on the Monday night. But they are just talking to Ian Foster, getting the last-minute preparations in before this match does get underway for the Rugby World Cup warm-up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be an absolutely awesome one, a massive occasion seeing these two sides play. Like we've said throughout this whole introduction, though, injuries are the thing we are hoping not to see. What time will do the 8-0? I feel like if any team were going to, it would be the Boks. South Africa see New Zealand split and raises. Real poker move, says RJJ, and I'm expecting a big game from Sam Cane. Actually, he always plays a big game. Says David the Mod, he's going to stream the match. Sadly not. We will be doing the play-by-play commentary on the channel, and then the highlights will be up on YouTube pretty much straight after. What TV channel are you watching the match? So for me in New Zealand, I'm watching on Sky Sport 1, but I believe in South Africa it is on DSTV, maybe also on Flow Rugby and Amazon Prime as two other options. 7-1 bench for the Boks, Villi out, and Huaka replacing him, says Hensel. He certainly is. So the last-minute change for the Springboks due to a Villi Leroux injury. Now, hopefully it's nothing too serious, but as soon as you hear that, an injury for Villi Leroux just before a World Cup, it does elevate the heart rate a little bit. You get a little bit more nervous because when you think about Damian Valimza, if he's also the fly half cover, and then for this game, I guess he's going to be the fullback. And then, yeah, there's going to be some reshuffles that have to be made if it's something relatively serious. And good morning, everyone. Let's go, Yaha, says a Matt Will. Steve Hansen, an honorary Aussie now, says Democracy. I feel like he's getting the Brendan McCullum treatment a little bit from the cricket side of things, which was he's a coach, he's gone overseas to help coach, and everyone gets angry because he's coaching. It's like he's not just going to work at the local Kmart. He has got the coaching degree, so he might as well go out there, try and show what he can do and help out his mate Eddie Jones. If Will Jordan gets injured, are the All Blacks World Cup hopes gone? Says Luke, I would say no. I think that Will Jordan, yes, he's an absolutely phenomenal player, but I don't see it being that one player will completely change it for the All Blacks. Now, two players, if Richie Mo'unga and Beauden Barrett both got injured in this game, that might be a little bit different. And says Steve Hansen is talking low. Says David the Mod, and Leroux has cut himself shaving, so he may only miss 2 games, says Kernovic. And what time is kickoff in South Africa? It is in 24 minutes time, so 8:30 p.m. local time for you in South Africa is when this one's going to be starting. Quaka for the wing, says Hensel. And also spot on there, he's just coaching, says Democracy. And there as well, and come boys, the All Blacks machine must roll on and go the Bok, says Sakabula. But looking through at the starting lineups once more, like I mentioned, only around 23 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen, from the start of this game. So it is very close indeed. Looking through at the All Blacks, Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles, and Tyrell Lomax going to be the front row here. Sam Whitelock and Scott Barrett, the lock-in duo, the Crusaders teammates, normally would actually be round the other way, but I believe that due to Scott Barrett's form, he has confirmed his spot as number 5, and Whitelock, Retallick, Vai, and Lord, they are all fighting for that number 4, and of course with Retallick being injured, it means it's only currently a 3-horse race. Luke Jacobson, big opportunity for him to start at number 6. That is due to the injury of Shannon Frizzell. He will be missing the first couple off the bench, or first couple games of the Rugby World Cup. I've just seen there the 6-2 split. It's the first time ever that the All Blacks have done it, so that is possibly as well why the Springboks did go to that 7-1. Sam Cane at number 7 as the captain, and Artie Savia there. At number 8, Aaron Smith and Richie Mo'unga, the 19 combination. Geordie Barrett and Rico Ioane in the midfield. No David Havili for this game, which I found slightly surprising, seeing as he has just returned from the injury. Mark Talia at 11. Will Jordan out on the right wing. The man has got a clinical try-scoring record. And then number 15, it is Beauden Barrett. Now, I should mention the last time that these two sides played in the Rugby Championship, Will Jordan, he did manage to score himself a try, making 72 metres, beating 7 defenders, 4 clean breaks. He was on fire. And I believe he may have even had a try assist. In fact, he had every stat ticked off across the board on the Rugby Championship website. So he'll be hoping to do just that once again. But looking through at the Springboks starting lineup for this game. Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marks, and Franz Malharba as the front row. A very strong and also very dangerous front row here. I'm thinking scrums are going to be extremely entertaining. We're going to see them going back and forth, maybe a penalty each way early on in this match. Even Etzebev and Franco Mostert, they will be the locking duo. That is actually the first time this year I believe they have gone with that combination for the Springboks. Sia Khaleesi recently returning from injury. He is at number 6. Peter Steph-Totoy at 7. And Dwayne Vermeulen as the number 8. Faf de Klerk at number 9. Now, he may not stay there for this match. Maybe he transitions to 10. Maybe he heads out to the wing with the 7-1 split that the Springboks have gone with. Mani Lebok, he will have the fly half responsibilities. I also believe he will have the kicking tee, so I'm hoping he has a bit more accuracy than what we did see in the last game. Andre Esterhuizen and Kanan Moody at number 13 for the first time since he was in schoolboy rugby. Moody put on that outside centre jersey. Makazole Mapimpi, Kurt Leoninsa, and also Damian Valimza, the back 3 for the Springboks. Are looking very strong off the bench for the Springboks in this game. They have got the 7-1 split, the last minute change of Villy Leroux out and Whaka Smith into the side. Bongyo Manambi, Oxenshire and Trevor Nakanye as the front row. Jean Klein and RG Snyman, the 2 lock-in replacements, and Maka van Staden alongside Kobeth Reinach for the All Blacks. Samasoni Takiaho, Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Null. Josh Lord and Tupa Vai, the 2 as the locking replacements, although Vai can play blindside flanker if needed, as well as Scott Barrett being able to transition to number 6. Dalton Papali'i, number 21. Cam Roygaard and Anton Leonard-Brown, the last 2, and therefore the All Blacks. Do let me know as we get a little bit closer to this game, ladies and gentlemen, who do we think will be walking away with the victory and the exact score that you think this game will be? Good morning, Hamish, and my fellow YouTubers, says DK. Welcome in, mate. And while Villy Leroux is injured and is being replaced by Kwaka Smith, he certainly is. So the 7-1 split for the Springboks. How do you even run a 7-1 split? Everyone just has a run, says Yvonne. Well, the good news is, like people have said, Kwaka Smith has actually got a bit of sevens experience, which means he's used to be pretty much anywhere across the field. And, you know, he could be a very dangerous player to have tactically out on the wing, because we think through at some of the players around the world, and you do see loose forwards lurking out on the wing. Whether that is, to be honest, for the Stormers, I'm thinking of when Sia Khaleesi found himself out on the wing, or for the Sharks, when he did go there for the URC. Also alongside that, for the Kiwis, we normally see maybe a Kiriwani out there. He's not playing this game, but it's a tactic that teams have used in the past. New Zealand normally put their hooker out on the wing. Perhaps the Springboks have one of those loose forward trio to really hone it down the wing. And it seems like we got a few women on here, Hamish. Are we going to hook you up, says Nazi Williams. Don't know about that. As soon as I take the hat off, they will all run away. Can guarantee you that. Bok 25 Kiwis, 25. And the ref 3 cards, says Democracy in the Bok. 27 to 19, 21 to 19 to the ABs, says Mav. And big game come on the box, says Magic Mike. And there as well. And that game is getting ever so closer. So anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Little bit of drizzle around at the moment at Twickenham. Hopefully that's not going to be the case throughout the game though, and it's not too slippery. It seems that most New Zealand on YouTube seem to think Ireland and France going to be pushovers at the Rugby World Cup, says Rafflesia. I don't think that's the case, but at least our audience, it seems to be that a lot of people are saying that Ireland and France will do well throughout this Rugby World Cup, because the thing is they can't underestimate those 2 Northern Hemisphere sides, because more than likely New Zealand and South Africa, we're going to be playing them in the quarterfinals. Hello, says Lordrin. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. We have got there who is the man in the middle, says Miro. The man in the middle. Is that me? Maybe? I assume that's me. And hello, I'm Hamish. Nice to meet you, Miro. Well, some people are dreaming, says Henny. And forward set pieces and tactical kickings will decide this one. Hopefully, is physicality up front. We have got there, sorry, but South Africa by 1, says Kirshen. It's a fair prediction. I feel like either way, this game is being split by around 5 points, or somewhere maybe even lower than that 5. I think 39-25. Box, come on, says Magic Mike. I'm wondering though, Henny, who are you saying is dreaming for this game? Are you saying that people saying South Africa are going to win, or New Zealand are going to win are dreaming? Because it'll be interesting. We have got there from Leanne. You are fat. Cheers, bud. Although I feel like at this stage, you know, there's not a huge amount of percentage of weight to lose unless I go into like well and truly like featherweight in the UFC. We have got there Ireland have a hard round out of the group stage. He's talking about the ref hammy, says Spider Meek there. And we have got there if Ireland was a walkover, why would people call Pool B the pool of death or complain about the seeding? Says username. And we have got there I want Laura McGoldrick to have my children. You might have to ask Martin Guptill, the black cap, because that's his wife. So be careful. This game just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. They've played once at Twickenham in the past, and we have only seen one result, and that is in favour of the All Blacks. We have got there as well the All Blacks to win by 12 plus. And David, that's us, man, says Nazi Williams. And yes, the boys are watching from Hamilton, New Zealand. Love the build-up. Enjoy the game, lads, says James Thomas. And hopefully do enjoy it as well. I think Waikato have got themselves a game in the Bunnings EBC in the near future as well. So hopefully they go all right in there. You're so small. You can't call me fat and then say I'm too small, Leanne. I feel like you've got to make your mind up. It's like saying, well, there's a lot of examples we could use, but we'll leave it. But yeah, are you saying I'm small or am I big? Which one do you want to go with? I don't mind either way, to be honest. I feel like I'll take either one. I was too small when I was out on the wing playing rugby. Now I'm probably, the only position I could play is probably a halfback. To be fair, 1,000. You think I weigh 1,000 pounds, I assume that is? I'm all down, oh, that sounded, I was about to say I'm all down south, but that sounds dodgy. Grifter said, talk rugby, we will do. Yes, we've been talking rugby for the past hour and 10 minutes with just 15 minutes remaining. It looks like Boss says Blues Nate. And also we have got their tactics strategies will be key, especially that first half. And I believe that we are going to end up seeing a lot more of the Springboks forward pack now than we may have already anticipated, because we know that they were going to come out firing in this game, because in that first game of the Rugby Championship, New Zealand's forward pack were able to get the momentum going forward, and that is something that I don't think they will want to happen again. Are there changes on the bench? There is. Willie LaRue has been taken out, and replacing him is Kwaka Smith. So 7-1 split for the Springboks. Lizzo has said, at what time will the game start? It is only 15 minutes away. Bottom heavy, are you, Hamish? Good evening to all. Says Charles, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. You're massive for a small dude. Says good. Cheers. But just around the corner, agrees World Rugby should have aired this free on YouTube. I agree. It would be absolutely awesome to see. Shave your beard. Says Leanne, that is around the corner. Don't worry. But by the time the World Cup comes, I'll have a haircut and also a shaved face. So don't panic. That'll be most of my weight gone, will it, Leanne? That you were talking of? As the first 7-1 split in rugby? I believe it's definitely close to it. The first 7-1 split. So for the Springboks, I mean, they are definitely a side that can, I guess, innovate is probably the best way of describing it. This was the first time ever that New Zealand were going with the 6-2 split, and the Springboks one-up them and said, we'll go with the 7-1 then. Why not? But the thing is, it's only good on paper at this stage. If it's effective in the game, we will soon find out. But if it's not effective, then that will also be something that people might criticise on the Boks in this game. But this is the way that Pool B sits, ladies and gentlemen, for South Africa. They've got 4 games back to back to back. Although they have got, it's quite a long layoff, actually, between those 2 games. I know that it doesn't seem like it, but actually 8 days in between games. I'm sure they'll be very happy about that. But they've got their games up against Scotland, Romania, Ireland, as well as Tonga. Then for New Zealand, they have got a little bit of a different grouping in Pool A. They've got their France game as the first opening contest, and then from there, 3 slightly easier games, some would say, although Italy may be a bit of a challenge. Namibia, Italy, and Uruguay there as well. And the Boks will win by 8 points, says Mario there. And this game is in South Africa, or the game is in South Africa, so that's a tick for them to win, but I'm concerned for the back line. Selection will be close, of course. I still pick the ABs, although this game actually taking place at Twickenham in England. So a little bit of an evening factor. And it's not too often we actually see these 2 sides playing on neutral ground other than in a Rugby World Cup. I've never heard of a 7-1 split, says Charles. Yeah, although I guess technically they were going to go with the 6-2. Maybe Kwaka just looked the best in the warm-up when Willie LaRue was injured. So they went, yep, we'll switch that around. Can we see an 8-0 split versus Romania? Rare. But the future is bright, says Katenda. And top kickers for both sides, says Grifter. So, yeah, it's going to be Richie Mo'unga versus Mani Libok off the kicking tee. Libok has been struggling a little bit as of late in terms of that accuracy. But I still believe that if he can step up outside of the kicking tee for this game and is able to get a few passes across the back line like he was in the last game up against Wales, we've got to remember the man ended up with about 3 or 4 try assists in there. Please don't waste your chats. It's the Box game. Says Freddie. And we have got there just show a piece of all the expats living in the UK. Says democracy. And also we have got there in the chat South Africa will win by 10 points. So we've asked the question of who we think will be walking away with the victory. So ladies and gentlemen, who do we think will score the first try in this fixture? Do let me know. But anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I see that New Zealand still come in as slight favourites for this contest, but it's normally pretty hard to split them all. You show the game. Sadly, due to licensing, we're unable to show the match footage or audio, but we will be doing the play-by-play commentary all throughout the contest. They are just showing the overcast skies at Twickenham. Looks like there might be a bit of drizzle around near probably half-time, I would say. And Matthew Carley, as the referee, says Harness first try New Zealand, but South Africa will win, says username. And will Rugby World Cup 2023 set a new record? Attendance, says Miro, it will certainly be up there because they've got some big stadiums in France, which is awesome to see. And 1K viewers in the chat, yeah, it's absolutely insane the amount of support that we've had on all of these live streams heading into the Rugby World Cup. But we will be covering every game on the channel. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I think a try in the first 5 minutes, then a point drought for 20 minutes, says Steve. So if I can push you, Steve, which team's scoring in that first 5 minutes? Do you see the All Blacks doing something similar to what they did in the Rugby Championship when they were able to score extremely early? Or do you see the Springboks making a statement like they did in their game up against Wales and getting themselves the early try? It was Malcolm Marx in that one. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes here. But I should mention the try scorers in the last time that New Zealand faced South Africa. It was Will Jordan, Richie Mo'unga, Aaron Smith, and Shannon Frizzell. Now, Aaron Smith, he is playing, Mo'unga's playing, Jordan's playing, but no Shannon Frizzell, and he had a tremendous game beating 9 defenders the last time these two sides went head-to-head. The 2 try scorers, in fact, the 3 try scorers for the Springboks were Malcolm Marx, Kwaka Smith, who only just recently got himself added into the side, and then also Cheslin Colby, who is not there. Well, our backs, the top tacklers in the game, Shannon Frizzell, Scott Barrett, and also Geordie Barrett. And then for the Springboks, we saw 14 tackles made by Kwaka Smith. So I can understand why he is the player that they decided to have come off the bench in this contest. When's kickoff? It is only 9 minutes away. So we've got the national anthems, we've got the haka, and then we are ready to go for this exciting game, ladies and gentlemen. And Bok are too good for the All Blacks, says Rory Marks. And I feel like this game is certainly one that it will test both sides. The big thing here, though, is win, lose, or draw. If we can avoid all injuries for both of these teams and have them both 100% going into that Rugby World Cup, that is the main thing. And I think that both of these sides would agree. Yes, they want to walk away with the victory, but they also want to walk away with 23 players walking off the field the same way they made their way onto it. And that is injury-free. Well, mostly injury-free. Anyway, Makazole Mapimpi to score the first try of the game in the 3rd minute, says Mornay. And also we have got there, what is your score prediction? So on my preview, I said that the score would be 24-19. I said it was in favour of the All Blacks, but I could easily see it going the other way and being in favour of the Springboks. We have got there 0-0 at half-time, scores then in the second half. Jordan will score a freakish try for the win, says Albert. I mean, we saw a Ranfurly Shield game here in New Zealand most recently, Wellington versus Tasman. The end score in that game was 7-0. Now, I know that people like a close game of rugby, but I feel like quite a few people would be annoyed if that was the score for this one. When coach goes to Australia, does that affect organisation? Says Grifter, not really, mainly because he hasn't been the coach for about 3 years, so not really. We have got the I Amish Love Energy, says Penelope. Thank you very much, hugely appreciated. 3 points difference, either way, as long as it's close, says Cited. And Rory, we hear you all the time, but your results don't back it up, says Trajan. The haka is going to be outdrawn again like the schoolboy rugby huckers, says Rory. And also the All Blacks from Catherine, but we have just got a moment's silence at the game. Then from there, the national anthems and the haka. They are just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. We see Kwaka Smith there, the man who takes the number 23 jersey due to the injury of Billy LaRue. But looking through at the All Blacks starting lineup for this game, Ethan de Groot at number 1. Dane Coles takes the spot on the starting lineup for the first time since the game up against Argentina earlier on in the year, and Tyrell Lomax at number 3. So the combination that the All Blacks for the propping department are expected to go with throughout the Rugby World Cup. Sam Whitelock and Scott Barrett, Crusaders teammates at 4 and 5. Luke Jacobson comes into the side due to the injury that we did see of Shannon Frizzell. Sam Kane at 7 and Artie Savia, the dangerous man at number 8. Aaron Smith and Richie Mo'unga, the 9-10 combination that has been proven effective for the All Blacks throughout 2023. Geordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane as the midfield combination. Mark Talia, Will Jordan out on the right wing. Like I mentioned last time that these two sides played, was able to get himself a try, and Beauden Barrett comes back in at number 15 for the Springboks. Speaking of Springboks, Brian Habana in attendance for this game, but Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marks and Franz Malharba extremely strong front row here for the Boks. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert, the locking duo, and then Ser Khaleesi back from his injury, played well for the last game up against Wales, got himself the try assist. Peter Steph-Toy at number 7 and Dwayne Vermeulen as the number 8. Faf de Klerk and Mani Libok, the 9-10 combination. Andre Esterhuizen and Cannon Moody, the midfield combo. So quite a young midfield for the Springboks, and Moody, first opportunity for him at 13 in a Springbok kit. Makazole Mapimpi at number 11. Kurtley Arinsa out on the right, and Damien Valimza at number 15. Then off the benches, there was the last minute change for South Africa, going with the 7-1 split in this contest. Willie LaRue injured, which does mean Kwaka Smith makes his way into the side, but Bongio Manambi, Oxnechet and Trevor Nakanye, the front row. Jean Klein and Archie Snyman, the two lock-in replacements. Then Maka van Staden and Kobus Reinach, the other two names there for the Springboks. For the All Blacks, Samisoni Taukei'aho, Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Null as the front row replacements. Josh Lord and Tupavai, couple young Chiefs players, they will be the ones in the lock-in duo. Dalton Papali'i, Cam Roygard and Anton Leonard Brown, the last man on the board for the All Blacks. But we have just had the South African national anthem, ladies and gentlemen, which now means the New Zealand one is just around the corner. And we are ready for the kickoff. Will Jordan is the difference, says Grifter. Go the Boks, says Olga. And also we have got there high the Boks 27-19 as Jaco's prediction. Come on South Africa, says Richard. And there we believe in you, Bok, says Marika. Good evening, everyone. I think this game could go either way, either a close game or a runaway, says Pete. And I, to be honest, I have that same feeling. I feel like both of these sides will be able to match each other quite nicely early on in the fixture, and then perhaps later on, when we see the impact that the benches have, that would be the time that either side does run away with it. And what's the story with Philly LaRue? Just injured is the only thing I've heard so far. I'm wondering whether or not they will let us know when the match gets underway what has happened to him. But yeah, due to that injury, it means that it is going to be Kwaka Smith to make it the 7-1. We have got Hamish, your chat seems mostly South African, says Hensel, although it is still only 6:30 a.m. here in New Zealand, so that might be why we've got predominantly South African viewers, although we have done quite a few of the South African fixtures, of course, so that might be also why we've got quite a few in attendance for this game. Springbok is bad, says Raquel. I don't know whether or not the defending world champions in rugby can be considered that bad, really. At the end of the day, they've got a World Cup just around the corner where they are going to try and prove the naysayers wrong. Can you show us singing the anthems? Says Gareth. Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or anything that we show would end up getting us taken down. We have got there Kiwi in New York City here, says Nirius. And also we have got there Go New Zealand, says David the Mulbarena brother, says Harmy there. And also we have got there think the ABs will win, but would like it to be the Boks, says Penelope. Artie Savia looking fired up for this fixture, ladies and gentlemen. And it is just around the corner now. South Africa, says Miki. House Kiwis only just waking up. Team go the All Blacks, says Bill Walker. And everyone saw the last game of Bok. Got 42 on Wales 16, says Dylan. Although some would also say that they saw the last game between the All Blacks and the Springboks, in which the All Blacks were able to win at 35 points to 20. There are a lot of factors that go into this game. But anytime these two sides go head-to-head, it's normally a closer split than the 15 points. And I believe in this game we are going to get to see that. And Smith leading the haka, says Hensel there. As long as we have Will Jordan and Artie playing, we have a great chance of winning, says Joe Webby. And the difference between the two, South Africa is a sprint and AB's a marathon. AB's by 20 plus. Does Australia still play rugby? They certainly do. They've got their game just around the corner up against France, which should be a very entertaining one. Where it's kickoff in about 2 minutes' time The All Blacks just about to do their haka. And then we are ready. Looking forward to your commentating. Got some Springbok and Kiwis here in Austria, says Adam. So I should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are going to be live all throughout the Rugby World Cup. And I'm milking this. Oh, I'm milking? This is great, thanks, mate, says Anthony Lopez. And there, I guess, yeah, because if you're in New Zealand, it's probably early morning start for your guys on the dairy farms, isn't it? And Bok, supporters go Bok, says Rory. But Sam Cane standing at the front of the haka. What time is the game starting? It is starting in about 2 minutes' time. So we are extremely close. 1 moment, we will sneeze again. We are good. Unfortunately, hay fever is a lovely thing. All Blacks all day, says Yami. And also we'll get the other box in there as well. But do let me know your score predictions, ladies and gentlemen, as well as your first try scorer in this game. Now, the first try scorer the last time these two sides played was actually Aaron Smith, which I think would have been quite a tricky one to predict and really hard to get any coverage here in New York City. So thank you for this commentary, mate. Says Nereus, no worries at all. Can we get a full screen of the game? Sadly, due to licensing, if we were even to show a second of match footage, we would get taken straight off YouTube and banned for 3 months. Malcolm Marks, first try scorer, says Stephen Marks. My mum is a big fan, says Nathaniel. Thank you very much. And also, hey, Hamish, looking forward to this fella listening from the UK. And so, again, is my daughter Riley. Hopefully I said that correctly. And go the All Blacks. They are just showing the starting lineup. Ian Foster had to make a couple changes due to the injuries of Brodie Retallick and also Shannon Frizzell. Let's enjoy Hamish commentary. Fair due to him. Says Eric in South Africa. Says Belilwa. Hopefully I've said that correctly. South Africa says Penelope. Who's going to win? What time is it in New Zealand? It is currently 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time. So we've been up since around 5 with the commentary. And now we are just around the corner from the kickoff of this contest. I will mention we are covering some games of rugby tomorrow as well with Fiji versus England, as well as the other match that has taken place, which is going to be a very exciting one with Samoa taking on the Irish. Why do they ban you if you watch rugby game on YouTube? Pretty much it's due to not having the copyright license to be able to show the match. So if we were to show any match footage or audio, we are illegally showing content, which then gets us sued. So I don't really want to get sued. I always say I'm already dressed for court, but don't really want to have to go there. And Moody, first try, come on the green, says Warren there, and 2:30 p.m. in Canada. These two sides ready to go. It looks like it will be the All Blacks kicking off from left to right here at Twickenham for the first time in a while. We're going to see these two sides playing on neutral territory. In fact, the last time that took place was actually during the Rugby World Cup 2019. And well, Jordan to get the first try, says David. And also hello from South Africa, says Jacques there. But the All Blacks, in fact, it's from right to left, my apologies. They're the All Blacks will be travelling at Twickenham in front of a sold-out crowd. Matthew Carley in charge of this one, taking a massive deep breath because he knows that this is going to be one of the most important games before his Rugby World Cup refereeing. But we are ready to go. Twickenham Stadium is going to be rocking in the All Blacks with Beauden Barrett. Now get the game underway. And the game is now live. It is going to be Dwayne Vermeulen taken nicely inside of the Springboks 22, tackled by Dane Coles. He's known as a bit of a grub for the Kiwis, but sometimes that works in their advantage. He'll be fired up in the early stages of this match. Kicked high. Mark Talia considered going for it. Kurtley Arinsa does knock it backwards, but it does go back to the ABs, and now Beauden Barrett looks to charge forward, tackled by Kurtley Arinsa. They'll be trying to recycle this one quickly in each of the breakdowns for the All Blacks. Last time these two sides played, the All Blacks had very quick breakdowns. Oh, Dwayne Vermeulen might be injured here. This looks serious. Already, his shoulder is out, Dwayne Vermeulen. And this is only 42 seconds into this game. We mentioned about it before the match started. This is just asking for trouble being 2 weeks away from a World Cup. It looks like Dwayne Vermeulen, is he going to be all right? That's the big question. Where does it going to begin, says Leanne. The match has started 42 seconds in, and Dwayne Vermeulen at the moment has ended up with some sort of injury leading into that tackle of Sam Cane with the shoulder and the arm just bent. And South Africa will be getting smoked. And first try from Dane Coles off a rolling maul. Nice pass, Aaron Smith, says David the Mod there. and also messed them up at the All Blacks. Says it was Dandelion. Oh, actually, he knocked his head. Oh, no, he's saying he's all right now. So Matthew Carley was stopping it because he thought that there was going to be the head knock, so he was going to go off maybe for the HIA, but instead Dwayne Vermeulen, he says, oh, I'm all right, let's continue. And also, what does the score say? Currently still 0-0. We're only 42 seconds into the contest. And also, dislocated shoulder, says Kevin. It looked like it, but now he's just rolling it as if nothing happened. So I think he took a bit of a knock on the shoulder and then a knock on the head. But he's fine, and he's going to keep on playing in this match. But that does mean that the scrum feed does go the way of the All Blacks. And moral Sam Cane will mess you up, says Nereus. And 2 hits to the head. And under the first minute, says Simon Adams. You're not an ideal start, I guess you could say. Well, I'm built like an ox, says Rory Marks. And now the ball going to be fed in. That's the penalty to the Springboks. De Klerk was calling for it early. And it was on this far side. The knee ended up going down of Ethan de Groot and the head there with Frans Malaharba. And now South Africa do get themselves the first penalty of the game. We've got a new member on the channel. It is Arthur. Arthur, thank you very much for in that membership button, mate. Anyone else who does want to become a channel member, you do get exclusive emojis all throughout that Rugby World Cup. And it is that pinned comment link that we have got there, but South Africa kicking it down towards the 22. The elbow was down of Ethan de Groot, so that is what ended up getting him penalised rather than the knee. Now Marks sitting about 15 metres out from the try line. The Springboks in a very good position on the field. This is not schoolboy Springboks. It's the mighty All Blacks, says Adrian. And also we have their mighty Thor, says Floyd, but it's thrown in nicely. Who's the ref hammy? It is Matthew Carley. Advantage goes the way of the Springboks for All Blacks pre-engaging into that rolling maul. 15 metres out from the line now for the box. Faf de Klerk looks to his left. Does find the hands of Eben Etzebeth charging at Sam Cane, who's been able to take him down the bootlaces, around the bootlaces. Peter Steph-Toy with the pick and go now to Klerk. Goes for the grab reminder. Rinser. It's just gone dead. And they will go back for the original penalty to the Springboks, but a very good chance for South Africa early on in this fixture. I said it was an early drive in the rolling maul on the back of the legs of Franco Mostert, who looks like the better team this far. Says Mark, well, we're only 2 minutes into the game. We've seen the Springboks win 1 penalty, and we have now seen them win their second. So you probably say the Springboks in the first 120 seconds, but there is still another 78 minutes to go, of course. So it's a bit hard to tell. But Malcolm Marks, it was a nice throw. Yeah, Mostert just ending up landing on the All Blacks, who are looking to drive in that rolling maul, running rugby like South Africa like to do, says Rory Marks there. Now Malcolm Marks 5 metres out from the line, thrown in nicely again. Mostert once again is taken early by the All Blacks, and another penalty advantage. Marks spins, does go down to ground just short of line. Whitelock is in that breakdown, trying to get the turnover to Klerk, attacking around to Peter Steph-Toy. He is just held up, I believe. So they will go back for yet again another penalty, but the All Blacks cannot afford to keep on giving away penalties just out from their try line. A better start for the Boks compared to the last clash between these two teams. Exactly right. We did see the early try scored by the All Blacks the last time these two sides went head-to-head. Try of Aaron Smith. It feels like World Cup against tonight, says the Giop. Is he going to show the match? Sadly, due to licensing and copyright, if I show any match footage, I get taken off YouTube. So that's why we are just doing the commentary. Looks like Sia Khaleesi just having a bit of a chat there with the referee, saying, are you going to warn them? You got to get all your hands off the jumpers when you go in. Okay. So Sam Cane, I think he was just trying to confirm whether or not they were slightly putting the Springbok jumper more towards the All Blacks, but I believe that in this case, Matthew Carley said, no, thank you. Go back to your mark. Okay, what's happening? Went to the loose side. So the Springboks 5 metres out from the line. Just out. Now Malcolm Marks. They will go to Mostert again, I believe. No, this time they go to Eben Etzebeth. Nicely taken by the big man at 4. Another penalty advantage against the All Blacks. I believe that one was for something different compared to the last two. Now de Klerk looking to shift this one, although first they will allow this rolling maul for a little bit longer. De Klerk now goes across to Andre Estes and skip pass out to Damien Valimza. He's got Makazole Mapimpi with him. I think he's in touch. I almost just lost my voice. We want to see the game. It's on Supersport. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Sky. It's on Flow Rugby. Take your pick. We have got there's going to be a good match, I believe, says Michaela. And also we have their penalty advantage, another penalty advantage once again against the All Blacks. Another one, and then taking the lifter out. Sam Kane just trying to reason with the referee, saying, please don't take us off just yet. We're still just trying to get our bearings. We're at Twickenham, altitude, well, not really altitude, just time zone, innit? But he needs to have a big chat to his four-pack here, Sam Kane, or else they could end up with a man in the bin after only about 10 minutes. Now, we talked about cards before this game. I feel like at the moment the All Blacks are looking like they're 1 or 2 penalties off receiving their first, but it looks like Mani Libok will once again kick this one for the corner. We have got there, thank you, brother, says Peter Pihi in there as well. Malcolm Marx waiting patiently on the sideline, ready for yet again another line out for the Springboks. Right, at the moment, dominating the territory aspect of this one. If you live in Ireland or the UK, then it's free to air on channel Sky Sports Mix and Sky Showcase, says Richard, but now thrown in. Nicely taken by Eben Etzebeth again. This rolling ball much more set for the Springboks than the last, spinning round slightly, almost able to get themselves a metre away from the try line. It has now been taken down. Scott Barrett might be able to keep this ball in, and if he is able to do so, the scrum feed goes the way of the All Blacks, and that is exactly what has happened. We have got RZ Movies has become a channel member. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. Where is it on Amazon Prime? Says Nearest, although this might be one of those games that they don't have on Amazon Prime due to the Summer Nation series not including this game as one of their fixtures, which seemed a little bit strange. But it is now going to be a scrum feed for the All Blacks, 5 metres out from line. Good morning all, may the best team win, says Mariette. And also over there, Lekkerbok, says Yanko in there as well. And tough listen, says Bill Walker. Yeah, extremely close for the Springboks being able to score the first try in this match, but just not quite able to get that ball out the back when it mattered. Are you a Springbok? Says Alex, I am impartial for this game, so we'll be calling it straight down the middle. 5 attempts and no score, sad, says Albert. Now the ball's come out the side. Artie Savia, short side out to Mark Talia now. Thought about the kick, but did get tackled by Peter Steph Toy, and the ball gets knocked into touch. I think Talia was a bit hesitant there to go for the kick. He's not really known for his kicking. It was nicely done. It actually popped off the boot of Artie Savia. Space opened up for Mark Talia. Just lost the ball out of his hands. And it was the question mark of whether it would be Lester Whainaunuku or Mark Talia. He was holding the ball in one hand, which is always a recipe for disaster up against a side like the Springboks, who will see that and make the most of that opportunity. Now Malcolm Marx, 25 metres out, and it is still the Springboks. In fact, no, it's going to be the All Blacks who have now got the line out. Must have been the last minute touch of Peter Steph Toy. Should mention now there is a bit of rain falling at Twickenham as well, so a bit slipperier underfoot and in hand for these sides. Luke Jacobson back to Aaron Smith, short ball to Artie Savia. The All Blacks still only 30 metres out from their own line. They have not been down the Springboks end of the field as of yet in this matchup. Back into the pocket, Richie Moonga puts the ball high. Looks like Will Jordan will be chasing after this one, trying to line it up. He slapped it back onto the side of the ABs, but Andre Esterhuizen was waiting. And the Springboks in possession once more. Kitsoff charging hard at Ethan de Groot. He's been able to take him down low. Mani Libok off to Malcolm Marx, a couple of the standout players for the Springboks throughout the Rugby Championship. Malaharba now to the left-hand side. Damien Willemse puts the kick in behind with the grubber. Looks like Moonga will be back there to cover, but just a couple metres out from the AB's line. Has to now try and relieve some of that pressure. Aaron Smith passes it across. It's a loose ball. Sam Kane, no option but to just put that ball down on the ground. And it is now going to be the scrum feed for the South Africans, only 5 metres out from New Zealand's line. Are you from New Zealand? How are you impartial for this game? Must be tough, says Glenn Heaney. I think it's just, or Heaney, I should say. We just got so used to doing impartial commentary. We've done over 2,000 live streams, I believe, now for rugby matches. So you kind of get used to it. Stop giving your opinion, says Baren. It's kind of what this live stream is, Baren. You might have to go somewhere else if you want to see the game. We have got there, can we watch the game? Please don't want to see a commentator, please. Yeah, your best bet is DSTV as well. Yeah, due to licensing, unable to show any match footage or audio, or else YouTube sue us. And I can tell you right now, the people who tell us to show the game are not the people who would pay for the lawsuit. I can guarantee you that. Screwside Sports, prime need to get a better deal for rugby, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. Now the Springboks, they've got two men on the left-hand side, and they have actually just sent one a little bit further out towards the sideline. Gone down in the front row, Ethan de Groot under all sorts of pressure from Frans Malherbe, and now Faf de Klerk with the American football-style throw off to Andre Esterhuizen. And this is a complete change of what we saw the first time that these two sides did go head-to-head. Etzebeth tackled by Scott Barrett. Now the Klerk going off to the right-hand side. Malcolm Marks, good driving tackle on him. Matthew Carley still playing the penalty advantage, and they will go back for another penalty. We have got there great comms, mate, or men, says Yako, and 2K viewers in the chat, says Franz Smith. And yeah, it is hugely appreciated everyone being here for this live stream. If you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Sam Cane and his All Blacks team are under intense pressure at the moment. And the rain is actually bucketing down a little bit more than I think they first anticipated. Someone mentioned it was going to be drizzly. This is a downpour at the moment. Thanks for the wonderful commentary, Kiwi Lad, says Ruth. The All Blacks, this is about 6 or so penalties just out from their own try line. The Springboks will go for the scrum again, so they are playing a very aggressive game of rugby rather than allowing for those 3-pointers to slowly tick up. And I guess that could also be down to that kicking accuracy that we saw from Mane Libbok last week. They don't want to throw away the opportunity that they've got with so many attacking opportunities in a row. Is Mackenzie playing? He is not. I should mention the only change that we have seen for any of these sides compared to what they initially announced is the fact that Willie Leroux is no longer on the bench for the Springboks. They are instead having Hwaka Smith. The best weather for these two teams to play around in rugby, says Rory Marks. Now the ball fed in by Faf de Klerk. Springboks 5 metres out from the All Blacks line. It's looking relatively solid. De Klerk just waiting to see whether or not they could get the penalty advantage. But now it will be available. De Klerk goes off to Andre Esterhuizen, and the Harlequins inside centre gets within a metre of the try line. De Klerk looking to shift this one out to the right-hand side. Off to Eben Etzebeth. Dragged down just short of line by Geordie Barrett. Man who made the most tackles tied in the last game for the ABs alongside Shannon Frizzell and Scott Barrett. That will be a knock-on from the Springboks though. Faf de Klerk just not able to get that ball out cleanly. And the All Blacks again have got themselves a scrum only 5 metres out from their line, but they are under so much pressure at the moment from the box. We have got there any link for the live stream, says Wiggins. Unfortunately, only really those paid subscription service ones are available for this one. I'm new from South Africa. Thanks for the good commentary, lad, says Philip. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. Are you my father? Says David. I do not think so. Not that I know of anyway. And are those penalties and advantages 5 metres out? And they still couldn't score, says Trajan. Although the All Blacks have to be extremely careful here, because if they end up giving away 1 or 2 more penalties, they will be a man disadvantage. Or they will have a man disadvantage. They cannot afford to have that early on in this game. But now, Aaron Smith feeding the ball, and big push from Frans Malherbe. Ethan de Groot is under so much pressure. So are the All Blacks though, with Faf de Klerk rushing around the side of the scrum to make the tackle on Artie Savia. Now Smith looking to put it back into the pocket to Richie Mo'unga, trying to get a few extra metres, but so far the Springboks have had about 95% territory throughout the first 12 minutes of this game. You need a rolling message saying about services not providing coverage, says Mr. Fantastic, or services that provide coverage, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. And we have got there, we need to send you a box shirt, says Dominique. And this is the best commentary I've ever heard, says David. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. Malcolm Marks now 20 metres out. Actually looked like they were going to go with the one-man line out there. Just try and throw it to the front to Stephen Kitsop. But now the line out is set from 22 out. Stolen at line out time from Sam Whitelock, the veteran. Now the All Blacks, again, they will look to clear their lines, but this is all they've been able to do throughout the early stages. Great kick downfield from Richie Mo'unga, now taken by Damien Valimze at the back. Tries the step, goes right round Mark Talia. Unfortunately, hasn't had the best start to this game. Now Faf de Klerk off to Eben Etzebeth, runs straight at Barrett. We knew that that was going to be a battle. Looks like Lomax is injured here. Something to do with his right knee. Another advantage to the Springboks. Mane Libbok fires out the cutout pass. Moody has a bit of a juggle, and they'll go back for yet again another penalty. It's a yellow card to the All Blacks. Who is it? I think it's going to be probably one of the loose... Oh, Scott Barrett is the man who's ended up with the yellow card. I think it's just the case of, unfortunately, with repeated infringements, Scott Barrett is the man who gets the short end of the stick, but Lomax down in the background with some sort of injury here. So Barrett made the tackle and then played the halfback, which does end up giving him the yellow card. And why did Richie kick that ball high earlier, or that high ball earlier, says David the Mod? Not sure. I think they were just trying to find a bit of a different tactic at the moment, trying to find a way of maybe retaining that ball rather than giving it back. Go the Bok, love the commentary, says Dominic. And we have got the A, get out of town, says points of reference, and also oops, says Nearest. But this looks like something relatively serious for Tyrell Lomax. He hasn't moved from that spot. I believe Tyrell Lomax out for the World Cup now. Unless something drastic happens, the All Blacks have lost their number one tight head prop, and we knew that that was going to be the case in this game, that there was going to be at least one serious injury. It looks like Lomax, first man to draw the short straw. Love how committed you are with the suit and tie, says Tupo, and I should mention anyone who's like, why does he have a suit and tie on, but then also a hat? The reason I got a hat is because this game started at 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time, and my hair was pretty much spiked up in all sorts of directions, so hat's a good way to save it. He's shaking his head, says sighted, and no, says Floyd Kingy, and he looks suave, says David the Mod, and like they've just said in the commentary, this looks like a World Cup ending injury for Tyrell Lomax. This is better than watching it live, mean brother, says Keith. And we have got there, you look class, says David, and legend, says Kyle. But Ian Foster, he has just been shown here, he is a nervous man at the moment because we have not seen anything that says the All Blacks are going to get much attack throughout this first 15 minutes or so of the contest. Someone be on the plane, says points of reference. And yeah, to be honest, in that will be the tight head prop role. So whether or not they look at bringing Mighty Williams as a tight head prop rather than loose head, maybe get Tavita Mafaleo, seeing as he already travelled with the side. Of course, we're still very early. It looks relatively serious for Tyrell Lomax though. So unfortunately, it does seem like got his leg actually put into a splint to try and keep it straight. This looks like, unfortunately, no World Cup for Tyrell Lomax. Need to change your suit and hat to green and gold, says Rory Marks. We have got there, and the chat, thank you for the suit and tie. Are you a legend, Bok? Says Rebo. I should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are covering all of the games of the Rugby World Cup on the channel. Fletcher Knoll now making his way on to the field. We have got their global military veterans in the chat in all caps, and also we have got there in the chat where to watch it. So your best option is probably Flow Rugby or DSTV as the other option in a splint. That does not sound good, and it did not look good for Tyrell Lomax. Straight away he knew, and like they always said, if a player doesn't move, that's how you know it's quite telling and they don't want to risk it in terms of just that little adjustment. And also there's just a chance that it's that disconnected that he physically couldn't move his leg. But now Malcolm Marks, South Africa 10 metres out from the line. We need to remember also the All Blacks just getting that yellow card of Scott Barrett. Whereas full match or full game, please, DSTV is your best option if you are in South Africa. Now, the All Blacks, they will be a man down for the next 10 minutes. Nicely taken by Franco Mostert. And Matthew Carley, no advantage in through the side for the All Blacks. I don't think there's been a breakdown where they haven't given away a penalty advantage yet. Now around the side, Faf de Klerk finds his pass away. Andre Estes, a little grubber in behind. Curtly Rinsa trying to chase it, but it will be taken by Aaron Smith. It's going to be number 7 called over, and I think this is going to be another yellow card. The 4th maul offence, Sam Cane is now yellow carded. The All Blacks playing with 13. Maybe they're taking a little bit too much of playing in England, literally. I know that we've seen England recently playing with 13. Although England got down to 12, didn't they? So the All Blacks are not out of the woods as of yet. Sam Cane and Scott Barrett both yellow carded. The Springboks playing against 13. We have got there, MJ has said, why don't you shush? Well, if I was shushed, MJ, it would be very silent on this live stream. So why don't you shush? If this ref, very biased, says Nearest. But now the All Blacks only sitting 5 metres out from the line. Mostert, that one's going to be all right this time. But Malcolm Marks looking to roll forward and with a 2-man advantage in the 4-pack. I'd like to think that this should be the chance the Springboks need off the big marks. He's going to be held up here. And now the All Blacks, they have narrowly survived, or have they? Matthew Carley looks like he wants to go upstairs and have a look at this one. France will snap you guys in half. Says VDK. They've got their game up against the Wallabies just around the corner. Looks like a bit of push and shove there. Damien Valimza right up in the faces. Dane Coles, of course, in there as well. We have got there, love the commentary, mate. Love it, go the box, says Clayton Smith. Right, they are going upstairs with the TMO to check whether or not there is going... They want to check the action of 4 black, which is Sam Whitelock. So this could end up being, by the sounds of it for Matthew Carley, this could end up being a penalty try and another yellow card. Just the chance. If this ball isn't down, how is your Afrikaans? It is lekker. No, it's not great. I know like 3 sentences in South African, or in Afrikaans, sorry. And why can't you show the match? Mainly due to licensing copyright, because I haven't purchased the rights to be able to show it. If I was to purchase the rights, there'd be no problem, but to purchase the rights is a few $1,000,000, and I sadly do not have that. Even though I'm wearing a suit. Seems like I'd be alright, but no, not the case. Right, they're checking Sam Whitelock here. See if he came from an offside position to make that tackle. Tell you what, they might have an argument. When it's halftime, we're still 25 minutes away from halftime here. And also we have got there, what a mad first 16 minutes to the match. Yeah, completely different. Right. They're just showing whether or not Sam Whitelock got back on side. So he's offside there. He's offside there. He's still offside. Oh, no, sorry. They've said the ball's got to the back foot. So because of that, it means that he's not offside. And now it's going to be the goal line dropout for New Zealand. Is it a send-off offence? Or is it a send-off offence? So they've said no, held up, and it's going to be a goal line dropout now for New Zealand. And All Blacks don't want to show their cards too early, says Stuffer. Well, they've been shown 2 in the first 16 minutes for Scott Barrett and Sam Cane. And certainly not starting the game the way they would have liked. Geordie Barrett now with the goal line dropout. The All Blacks have not been out of their half throughout the first 17 minutes, other than when they have kicked that ball downfield. Now big run forward from Dwayne Vermeulen, trying to step around Ethan de Groot, who's been able to take him down nicely. Another advantage, Ethan de Groot not getting out of the breakdown, so getting an advantage for not rolling away. You took the ball with you, says Matthew Carley, and that is going to be now about the 7th or 8th penalty against the All Blacks in the first 16 minutes. This time it looks like Marnie Libok will once again kick for the corner. Oh, yep, Khaleesi says go for the corner. It looked like for a second they were considering the 3. 17 minutes in the box have done nothing, says John. Well, they've been on hot attack this whole time. You just wonder when it is that they'll be able to break through this AB's defence, because to be honest, doesn't seem that far away. Has there ever been a 0-0 finish game of rugby? Way back in the day, but not recently. Anyway, did y'all see that, says Tiana or Tina in there? And also Box would have 15 points if they kicked all the penalties, says Tupu. That is true. They have been turning down a lot of 3s for the sake of trying to get the 7. They are only 5 metres out from the AB's line. Eben Etzebeth taking it nicely. Great rolling ball here for the Springboks. It's been dragged down just short of the try line. Now de Klerk couldn't find the ball, so it did delay them just that little bit further. De Klerk passes off to Kitsoff, 1 metre out from the try line. Now Malcolm Marks, another advantage this time for offside against the All Blacks. Sia Khaleesi crunched in the tackle by Geordie Barrett. De Klerk goes off to Peter Steftoy once again, just short of the try line. Still playing under penalty advantage. Khaleesi on his back. That is down, I believe, from that angle. Referee says held up, but I believe he'll have to check that one again. We've got there, it's a try for South Africa, and you're pretty Kiwi leg. Good on you, says David. Cheers, mate. And also, are they busy? Or you have to respect the defence of New Zealand, lol, says Grail. You do, but then at the same time, they have given away a penalty every time before they do this great defence. So it's still resulting in the same scenario. They will go upstairs. I believe that Sia Khaleesi managed to get this ball down. Matthew Carley would like to see the best angle of this one. Yeah, the defence been great so far. So I believe Khaleesi was on his back and then managed to get that ball down just about here. That looks down to me, and I believe that will be the first try of the contest, and it's Sia Khaleesi who has been able to get it. Would you take a TV commentary job if someone offered it to you? I'm not actually sure, to be honest, because the thing that I always say about these live streams, and the reason I enjoy them so much, is because we get that interaction side of things, getting to chat to you guys throughout the games, and without that, like, it just wouldn't feel the same. But South Africa have scored the first try now of the contest. Sia Khaleesi, the captain. We have got there joke of a red, or ref clearly a try. Says Slippery Gecko, and Australia was lucky, says VDK. Okay, and I think the ref has been given a directive, says Thorfinn, and told you, says Philip. What did Philip tell me? One moment, I'll go back. Oh, I assume that was that South Africa were going to score the first try, maybe. And we need a try, says Taina. New Zealand just need to get out of their own half. That is a perfect place to start. Kick from Mani Libok does go over. It's nicely done. He's sitting 100% accuracy this stage of the match. You have to give the All Blacks credit for their defensive effort. Well done, the Bok, says Kevin. We have got there David's in a weird mood, I can see. There was no double movement over the line, says Gareth. True. He did end up rolling over and putting the ball down. I don't think many people were calling for double movement in that case. And also we have got there about time South Africa bribes the ref. New Zealand been doing it for years, says John. Okay. 19 minutes into the game though, South Africa taking it deep inside of their 22. This time it's Dwayne Vermeulen. And they are still playing with a two-man advantage here for the Springboks. So they might actually be hesitant to kick this ball downfield towards the All Blacks. That's a penalty now. We have got there from Henk, as a rugby commentator, you would have to learn to speak English. Very true, and I do not speak English at all. There's one thing that I think my commentary has lacked is my ability to speak the English language. Well done, Sia. Well done, South Africa, says Kurno Wick. And who's taking the kick, says Yako. So it was Mani Libok for South Africa. Next South Africa try in 7 minutes, says Philip. It's a F. The man penalised for that one. And now 20 minutes into this fixture, the All Blacks, this could be their first opportunity at points, and it looks like Mo'unga will be the man stepping up. Great commentary, Amish, your English is fine, says Hadida. And also, we need to get you a green and gold jersey, says Andrew. How long on that first yellow? Still another, I'd say 4 minutes at this stage. He said that with a straight face. Well done, Amish, says Charles. And hi, mate, you're doing a great job. I'm in hospital and cannot sleep, says Bevan. Well, hopefully you are doing all right, Bevan, and it's nothing too serious. That will be now off the post for Richie Mo'unga, unable to convert. It's a knock-on by the All Blacks, so the Springboks will have themselves the scrum feed. So Mo'unga has caught the Mani Libok kicking bug from last week. Gone straight into the left-hand post. And lots of viewers are playing the man with Mike today. Playing the man with Mike today, says Richard. And Noel Tamaiti in for Lomax. Well, Fletcher Noel is on the field already. But I actually think that when it comes to the long run, they may look at Tamaiti Williams as that transition to 3 to be able to cover for him. But yeah, for this game, they've gone with Fletcher Noel. Scrum feed now for the Springboks, 15 metres out from the line. Box forever giving away penalties after they get a score, says Justin. Now, big scrum advantage now for the Springboks. De Klerk, short ball off to Damian Willemse. Kanan Moody having a little bit of a juggle with the ball, but still in the hands of the Boks. De Klerk goes across to Mani Libok, off to Kitsoff. Quick hands from Andre Esterhuizen with the cutout pass, off to Makazole Mapimpi. Tackled by Will Jordan, but they will go back for the original penalty. Bloody English rest, says Douglas, and go to the box, says Richard. My wife says she was in a New Zealand rugby player, says David, and they named them Springbok for a reason. Did they? I assume so. I heard that Mo'unga kicked without the video in the US, says Gus. Yeah, straight into the left-hand post for Richie Mo'unga, and the Springboks now find themselves back towards the halfway line. Bok need to score at least once more before the All Blacks get back to 15 men. And that's the thing, the All Blacks, if they can only concede the one try during that time, I'm sure that they'll be relatively, well, they won't be happy with giving away the cards, but they'll be relatively happy with only conceding just the once. They just need to find some momentum, and at the moment, the Springboks playing a very structured, very strong game. Here comes Andre Esterhuizen, breaking the line, trying to go over the top of Richie Mo'unga. 25 metres out. De Klerk off to Mani Lebok. Cross to Damian Valimza. Tackled by Rico Ioane. The box back on hot attack. Franz Malaharba charging forward. Klerk off to Mani Lebok. Looking for the cross kick. Mark Talia steals it, but he runs into touch. Just runs out of space. Now Peter Steftatoy trying to get that ball. Maybe considering taking it quickly. We've got the South Africans in the chat being rude. Come on, guys, we're better than this. Says Glenn Heaney. To be fair, I'm used to people being a bit rough to me. That's just YouTube, isn't it? We have got the All Blacks forever, says Luke. What's your highest stream count for a game, says Mr. Fantastic. We managed to hit 5,000 for the last Springboks versus All Blacks game. How long till Barrett card, says Graggle? Probably another 2 or 3 minutes still remaining for Scott Barrett. Now Malcolm Marks, they have got the line out from 20 metres out. The group closing the gap a bit too much. And just joking about your accent, mate. You are fun to listen to. You seem like a nice guy, says Henk. Okay, Scott Barrett is actually back on the field, I should mention. The 2 minutes is now for the other yellow card is Sam Kane. Nicely taken by Evan Etzebev, breaking off the back with Sia Khaleesi, short ball to Andre Esterhazen. He's already had some very impactful runs throughout this match. Loose ball. Kanamudi kicks it forward. There's a massive amount of space in behind. But does end up rolling dead. Now the thing is, in that case, the All Blacks have rushed up because of the fact that, unfortunately, the Springboks, with that loose pass, the All Blacks thought that was their opportunity to get the ball, but all they managed to do was rush up, leave that gap in behind. And we have got there in the chat, go the All Blacks, says Sunker, and also box supporter in Angola. Thanks for the commentary, go the box, says James Blom. And also, we have got there up the ABs, up the Waz, says Sione there, and best of the best commentators, says Ruth. It's going to be kicked in behind now. Nicely taken by Damian Valimza, who will put the ball back up high. Your Franz Maharba pronunciation says narcissistic. Now, Aaron Smith to the left-hand side. The All Blacks sitting about 35 metres out from their line. Other than that missed kick from Richie Mo'unga, they really haven't found themselves inside of the 22 of the Springboks very often at all throughout this game. Aaron Smith puts it high. Scott Barrett chasing after it. Taken at the back by Damian Valimza, who thought about kicking back, but instead goes off to Kurtley Arinsa on this right-hand side, who this time will put the kick in behind, and it goes out on the full. They'll go back to where he kicked it from. Lots of minutes still to play. Hope the Boks can keep discipline and also convert pressure into points better, says Glenn Heaney there. And well done, says Nathaniel. And Mo'unga misses that kick after all that effort from the forward. How are you so sexy? Love you, says Naomi. Thank you, Naomi. I think we haven't seen you here before. And hello, Aaron, says Darren Link. Welcome in. Thrown in by Dane Coles, now taken at the front by Sam Whitelock. The All Blacks inside of the Springboks territory, and they have got themselves the penalty advantage now. We have got, I'm just wondering, don't commentators get thirsty speaking so long and fast? That is why I've got this charge down by the South Africans. Richie Mo'unga just running that one casually, and they will go back to the mark. Same as 7 down there is the call. So the All Blacks, they have mentioned they are now back to 15 men on the field. And they have only conceded the 7 points in the process. I feel like they're studying us first half, says Taina. We lose you, Gideon, says David, and thanks for the commentaries, appreciate it from Fiji. And we have got the Fiji versus England game later on that we will be doing on the channel, so be sure to check that out also. But Dane Coles now throwing the ball in, slapped away by Franco Mostert, and the Boks are able to get a line-out steal of their own. Peter Steftatoy, big charge forward at the captain, Sam Kane. Now, there's a couple All Blacks who will be walking on eggshells throughout the last stages of this half, mainly because they've already had those yellow cards. Nicely taken by Beauden Barrett. Makazole Mapimpi makes the tackle on him. They do have to release. Aaron Smith back across to Mo'unga. Sam Kane, short ball to Scott Barrett, finds his offload up to Sam Whitelock, who offloads it away to Smith. The All Blacks trying to keep this ball moving. Mo'unga off to Heath in the group, breaks through one tackle. The big Southland boy got their challenge in the Bunnings NBC later on today. Oh, he's hurt his knee though, so that does not look too good. He might be able to get back to his feet and continue this game. Sling and pass from Beauden Barrett out to Dane Coles, I should say, close to the touchline. Beauden Barrett Across to Sam Kane, 40 metres out from the line now for the All Blacks. This is the longest that they've had the ball. Bonenbarrow went for the chip and chase. Doesn't work out. Goes straight into the hands of Damian Willemse. I feel like that was a very risky tactic for the All Blacks, seeing as they had finally put together some of their phases. Eben Etzebeth now crashing the ball up for the Springboks. Hearing an All Blacks chant going around Twickenham. I think there's actually quite a nice split, though, between All Blacks and Springbok supporters in the sold-out English stadium. Faf de Klerk rolling the ball back, and it looks like now the Boks will go for that box kick. But high, Mark Talia running on to this one. Not able to take it cleanly, although Kurtley Arinze has knocked the ball on. Now Geordie Barrett, big bump off on Malcolm Marks. Mark Talia, not a lot of space, runs straight at Eben Etzebeth. They've still got the knock-on advantage, though, in favour of the ABs. Rico Ioane off to Ardie Savia, breaking through, tried to find the offload, goes to Canon Moody, brilliant offload from him, and Damian Willemse boots it in behind. It will be 22 metres out, and now the line out for the All Blacks. But that was brilliant work from Canon Moody in his first game, starting at number 13, finding the offload away. We have got their man channel, keep it up, go the box, says Sean, and also go the box, says Roslyn, but brilliant offload. The All Blacks just seem a bit too keen on giving that ball away at the moment throughout this first 29 minutes. It is hurting them, although they are yet to concede too many tries, you'd have to argue. Just the one coming so far for Sia Khaleesi. Those chip kicks are bad. They hardly ever come off, just giving away the ball. And also Moody. And there from Albert, who scored the try. It was Sia Khaleesi who was able to cross the try line for the Springboks. Which is quite good news for him, because I know a lot of people were saying that he shouldn't be the number 6, but last time he was playing before he got injured, he was in brilliant form. And now it seems like that form has come back. Ethan de Groot getting his knee checked out. Depending on how serious this is, the All Blacks may have lost their starting number 1 and their starting number 3 in this game already. Have the Boks screwed the pooch here by not scoring enough with the advantage, says Flesh, and it's a good point. They were only able to cross this try line once, but I think at this stage they'll be happy enough because they are a team that have not had an injury as of yet. Only that little slight Dwayne Vermeulen one near the start. To be honest, if you're the All Blacks here, like, if they didn't already have the injury of Tyrell Lomax, I would have recommended bringing Tamaiti Williams on the field. But because they've already had to make that change, it seems like they're going to have to continue playing Ethan de Groot. And I know says points of reference and both starting props down. Let's pray we don't need Lulala or World Cup over. And this is insane why they even playing this game and risking injury, says Simon. And it is the statement that we made right back when this game was announced. Both of these sides are going to be going at each other extremely hard throughout the early stages. And, you know, I feel like in a way, the people who organised the game, they knew that. They knew that these two sides would beat each other up a little bit. We haven't seen a Springbok injury as of yet, but there's still time left in this game, and I'm a little bit worried we will see one just around the corner. You need to remember, it's the All Blacks. People says my bad gaming, and I'm proud to be a Kiwi. Well, mum's a Brit and dad Kiwi, says Spider-Mick, and Chris Robler has said nice clear commentary. Thank you very much. Brian Abana getting a big round of applause from the crowd. No matter where that man is in the world, he's been an ambassador for the 7 circuit, which is coming back relatively soon. Early November is when we get to see the first leg of the World Rugby Sevens. When is Farrell coming on? Says random, he's still got a couple more weeks that he's got to wait for. And why the 2 yellow cards? Repeat infringements from the All Blacks. So one of which was because it was their 4th rolling maul infringement, and the other was due to slowing that ball down and playing the halfback. Any injuries today, says Goni? So far, we've seen Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax have injuries for the All Blacks. Dwayne Vermeulen for South Africa, but de Groot and Vermeulen's one's not as serious as they first looked. Dane Coles, nicely taken by Scott Barrett. Aaron Smith now off to Ardie Savia, tackled low by Sia Khaleesi. Now Smith across to Jacobson. This is a big opportunity for him to get the start at number 6. Lomax out. Yep, Lomax more than likely will be missing the Rugby World Cup now due to his injury. Nicely taken by Damian Willemse at fullback again. And I mentioned earlier on that Willie LaRue ended up with an injury before this game got underway. The Springboks going with that 7-1 split. But Damian Willemse doing pretty nicely so far, playing that number 15. Jeremy Lewis has become a channel member. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. You now have access to exclusive emojis on the channel, so be sure to use them in the chat. And Bok, please make sure I'm having more Kiwis polish for my shoes by scoring more tries, says Barnes. That's going to be a loose ball for the All Blacks again. We've seen another steal at line-out time now. Andre Asian flat ball to Cannon Moody. Relatively flat, but it's off to Makazole Mapimpi. Almost going straight through. Look for the offload to Cannon Moody on the outside. Another knock-on from the Springboks just out from the try line. And that is going to be now a scrum feed for the All Blacks. Thought that there was the opportunity to pass that ball on the left-hand side. And go the box, says Regina. Malcolm Marks off to Peter Steftatoy, and then that is where the back line started firing again. Estaisen and Cannon Moody in the midfield seemed like a pretty solid combo by Makazole Mapimpi. Maybe just rushing that pass that was forward from Andre Estaisen to Cannon Moody, so they may go back and look at that one from 25 metres out. It's a knock-on from Moody anyway. Scrum feed 5 metres out from the line for the All Blacks. Okay, there, come on, the All Blacks, come on, says Lewis. And also, we Springboks just love you, Kiwis. And the best game, says Daniel. And we're on the field today. They are 5 metres out from the All Blacks line now. 31 minutes through this game and still 7 points to 0 in favour of the Springboks. So you'd have to say that with the amount of attack that the Springboks have had, they'll be a little bit disappointed to have only crossed the try line once, although they have still got the lead, of course, in this game up against the ABs. Yeah, I should mention anyone who is new, hit that subscribe button. We are covering all of the Rugby World Cup on the channel, including lineup announcements, alongside a whole heap of other information, previews, reviews, you name it, it's happening. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're also on the road to 30,000 subscribers, so if you do want to help us get that little bit closer, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Aaron Smith now, feeding the ball in to the scrum for the All Blacks. It's gone down in the front, and it's the penalty to the All Blacks. Number 1, Stephen Kitsoff hinging in. They have given it. It's a penalty against him. It looks like Dane Cole's just having a little bit of a push and a shove. Or in fact, he was the one who was trying to calm them down. That never happens. Dane Coles is always the one who is more than fired. I think Kitsoff and Marks were very keen on getting in the AB's faces there. And Dane Coles was like, settle down. So for Dane Coles to say settle down, you know it's something relatively serious. I've got there 14, year 13. I only hope for a miracle, and the plane behind you on the screen is standing still. They also watching the game. Yeah, they're strategically parked. You know, got the brake on just to be able to watch. Got the hover mode on as well. Dane Coles now. We've already seen 2 stolen by Franco Mostert this time. It is claimed by the All Blacks. They are 22 metres out from their own try line. Great rolling maul defence from the Springboks. Smith has to get it off now to Geordie Barrett. Great step there, breaking through to the tackle. Oh, Damien Valimsa. They've given it back though to Kurtley Arinsa, and he'll score the try for the Springboks. The All Blacks, another loose offload. The chemistry is lacking, and Arinsa, his try-scoring prowess will continue for the Springboks over the try line again. 33 minutes in, 12 points to 0. Thanks, points of reference, says David. And apparently Farrell will play prop for the All Blacks and Dane Coles will start at 10 for England, says Power Bite. And also we have got the no way, come on ABs, says no mum, you streaming slow bud, says Rory Marks, that it's due to me watching on Sky Sport now rather than watching it on DSTV or live TV. But that is a loose ball. Yes, the All Blacks had numbers on the outside, but there was no need to throw that ball for Geordie Barrett. Just looking to do too much after not having the ball, says Simon Evans. Yeah, it seems like they are in that scenario of trying to create a try-scoring opportunity, even when there isn't the option to do so. Oh, what stream are you using, says John? So I'm on StreamYard. There's one, although my coverage that I'm watching is on Sky Sport 1. That kick is successful from Mani Lebok. 2 nice, easy kicks out in front, which will help build his confidence heading into that Rugby World Cup. But Arinsa, he was miles in off his wing. And the potential confidence loss for the ABs and game for the Bok could be interesting going into the World Cup, says Hensel. And very loose by the ABs. France will punish that if they don't tighten up, and great. Go the box, says James. Now it's going to be kicked off by the All Blacks, who do sit 14-0 down. Now I should mention the All Blacks. Oh, it's taken by Mark Talia off the kickoff, and now the All Blacks only going to be 15 metres out from the line. Over the ball though for Dwayne Vermeulen, and I believe he's won the penalty there in the breakdown. The All Blacks may make the argument that there was a Springbok player in that breakdown, which was Damien Valimsa, but over the ball. Okay, holding on in a net grab. is the call from the referee. We have got there what is, it's my stove and I can't hang it where I want. It says Philip for the tree thingy-mabob. Interesting. It looks like Beauden Barrett just trying to help his side out a little bit tactically. And there was a decent chance for the ABs. Two Blues players working in tandem. And then Dwayne Vermeulen on the ball. Rolling him to the side. End up with the penalty. Now Malcolm Marks thrown in to Eben Etzebeth. Passes across to Sia Khaleesi. The rush defence from Luke Jacobson. He actually just passed it round his back in that case. Now de Klerk putting up the kick again on the left-hand boot. Aaron Smith running back to cover this one. Taken by Richie Mo'unga. Does have Beauden Barrett with him. He's going to go himself here, Richie Mo'unga. Trying to find some of that Mo'unga magic. Advantage against Stephen Kitsoff this time for the player not rolling away in time. Aaron Smith goes off to Jacobson, who throws the ball straight into Cannon Moody's hands. I think the All Blacks have forgotten that they are the team wearing black for this contest rather than the green and gold. The fittest team will win. It's that simple. Both teams are actually equal in skills, says Herman. Have you seen that the Boks are actually challenging at throw-in, same as says Charles? I have. Eben Etzebeth as well as Franco Mostert. Franco Mostert, I think, is definitely a guy to watch out for throughout this World Cup. Whether they play him at 7 or they play him at 5, his line-out turnovers are about as best as there is around. Boks need to stop switching off after the restart. So annoying, says Justin. And this just shows we can't handle pressure, says Lord 7th. And yeah, the All Blacks, they haven't really had too many moments where they've been under this much pressure throughout the last couple of years. Definitely not throughout the Rugby Championship, going 4 from 4. And this one, though, it's going to be overthrown by Dane Cole. Sits up for Geordie Barrett. Tackled by Malcolm Marks. Ball available again for Smith. Goes off to Luke Jacobson. Tackled low by Mostert, who gets a knee to the face. Hopefully he is going to be all right. Now Smith again. Going to the right-hand side. Off to Sam Cane. This is where the All Blacks, they need to make sure, rather than just rushing it, going for a cross kick or something along those lines, they instead go through a few more phases, get their hands on the ball, try and slowly wear down the Springboks, because you'd have to say with the amount of tackles South Africa have made here, they are not going to be fatigued whatsoever, only having to make maybe 20 throughout this half so far. Aaron Smith passes off to Beauden Barrett, to Scott, his brother. Now Smith again, off to Beauden Barrett. Rico Ioane now running out of space on the short side. So they will sling it back across to the left. Ardie Savia runs straight at Sia Khaleesi. Two men who were face-to-face as captains last year for the Rugby Championship. Now Sam Cane moving forward again. Aaron Smith to the short side, off to Dane Coles. Close to the touchline, tackled by Makazole Mapimpi. Across now to Fletcher. No, I believe that's his first carry since making his way onto the field. Smith with the pick and go. Round the side goes off to Sam Cane. This is the most phases, like I mentioned. Oh, that was just a hammer fist to the back of Luke Jacobson's head from Dwayne Vermeulen. And another All Black is down injured. Now it's going to be the advantage to the All Blacks. Scott Barrett moving to 15 metres out from the line. I believe the injury is Ethan de Groot, so this might be more serious than first anticipated for his injury. They are now going to be going back for the All Blacks penalty. And also we've got there, they're going to score a try. Says Tainer. Looks like Malcolm Marks also has stayed down to a knee. My dad loves your show. Say hi to Rory now. Welcome in, Rory. Hope you're doing all right. And also we have got there. What's up, guys? It's so good to be back. Super windy down here. And Balito, hopefully I said that correctly. Now with 1 minute remaining on the clock, the All Blacks, I don't know whether or not they'll look to take the 3 points here. I think instead they may look to go for the corner and try and be aggressive. As a box supporter, although a win will be nice, I like to keep that for when needed. Right. They're saying there's foul play from number 5, which is Scott Barrett. So this is going to probably end up being, oh yeah, Scott Barrett going into that breakdown, leading with the shoulder. I believe that this is going to be a yellow card, if not a red, probably a red card for Scott Barrett, who already had a yellow. He may end up missing the first 3 games of the Rugby World Cup now, at least. And Mapimpi sucks, says Ben Uslan, and Kiwis are getting their comeback, says Sean. Well, I think that's just butchered that, because red card for Scott Barrett. He's already had a yellow card. So Barrett's discipline going to let him down here. A massive loss, I should say, says Lord 7th. And also another yellow, says Richard. It certainly is. So Scott Barrett now, after being in the form of his life, it's at least a yellow card threshold. It's a yellow, it's being reviewed, but it is a red card anyway for Scott Barrett. So I guess it's just that situation of if they don't upgrade it to a red, he may not end up with a suspension. But if he does end up with a red card there, he might be missing the first 3 games of the Rugby World Cup. And AB's trying to F up their World Cup here. Says Hensel, and this looks like a costly match for the All Black ABs. Yeah, already losing more than likely both of their starting props. Now losing Scott Barrett to a suspension possibly. It's not looking too good for the ABs here. So many injuries and red cards, says Graggle. And we have got their disaster for New Zealand injuries, penalties, and getting dominated on the scoreboard, says Nathan Barnes. But that will reverse that penalty that they had. Is that a suspension if a red? More than likely, if it gets upgraded to a red card, it will be a 3-week ban for Scott Barrett. If it's not upgraded, it'll just be a red card for 2 different a yellow card for 2 different infringements, and he more than likely will be able to play next week, or the next game, I should say. South Africa has to capitalise now, 14 men, says Rudolph. And we have got there, where are the stop oil folks when Foster needs them, says James. It's a sent off here, Hamish, says Charles. But yeah, it will count as a red card. But Matthew Carley showed a yellow card first, which does mean theoretically it's under review, I think I heard him say as well. What a joke this game is. AB should walk off, says Slippery Gecko. And a whole red, says Tainer. So now Luke Jacobson, he will be taken off the field. That is going to be for Tupavai. I think that's Judo Jacobson, just not quite going the best. He also got a hammer fist to the back of the head from Dwayne Vermeulen, so maybe going off for the HIA there. Now Malcolm Marks throwing that ball in nicely, taken by Peter Steftatoil, though, and a knock on from Sia Khaleesi when it came to the line out. Does it look like a red, says Graggle? It's one of those ones that they may upgrade it, mainly because the player was lying on the ground, couldn't defend himself, and he got hit on the ground. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but I believe they still have the chance of upgrading it to a straight red rather than a yellow that's already a red because he's already had the card, if that makes sense. There's still a chance that he might not miss that first game up against France. That surely has to be upgraded to a red, shot a charging player on the ground, says Thierbo. So, yeah, there's a good chance that it does become that red card, even though it already has a red for Scott, mainly because it's because he already had the yellow as well. Is the moment too much for the ABs in this game? Very unlike them to play like this, says Cited. And what an idiot, says Rays. And there as well. Now Aaron Smith feeding the ball in for the All Blacks. It's gone down in the front rows yet again. But after Rico Ioane runs straight at Mani Libok, who makes a textbook low tackle there. Peter Steftatoy rushing up for the Springboks. Artie Savia steps him. Now Geordie Barrett. No, in fact, it's going to be Bowden. Only 3 Barretts were on the field to start with. Now there's 2 left. Last Barrett standing by the time we reach the end of this game. We are at 40 minutes on the clock as well. I should mention, Hamish, how's that 7-1 split looking now, says RJJ. Well, at the moment, we haven't seen the Springboks make any subs, so it's hard to tell. We haven't seen any of them in action as of yet. Now, ball available for the All Blacks again. Now around the side, Aaron Smith goes off to Andre Easthuizen, who tried to strip the ball. Malcolm Marks. It's going to be the advantage. Hands on the ground. Now Whitelock back across to Bowden. Barrett skip pass out to Rico Ioane. Mark Talia goes out wide. Does decide to pierce back inwards. Breaks through one tackle and Mostert, but is dragged down by Dwayne Vermeulen. Still playing under penalty advantage here for the All Blacks. Will Jordan gets the pass away to the right-hand side to his Crusaders teammate and Richie Moong. And now Bowden Barrett breaks through one tackle. Looking for the run. Slings it on the inside to Geordie. Backyard move. They would have used a few times in the past. Quick hands from Dane Coles off to Artie Savia. Now a big run for Richie Moong. He's been crushed in the tackle though by 3 of the Springboks players. Sam Kane, bit of a juggle there. Manages to stay on his feet. Rush defence there from Moody to shut down Aaron Smith. Ball bounces out the side. Another penalty advantage against the Springboks here. The ball's still available for the ABs. I believe there might have been a knock on there from the All Blacks in the process, and they may have to go back and check that one, but only 2 metres out from the line. Dane Coles now around the side. Malcolm Marks is slow to get up. Another advantage to the All Blacks. It's Will Jordan who goes in for the first try of the match for the All Blacks. They've had to work extremely hard to cross that try line. But if anyone was going to do it, it of course was going to be Will Jordan. You need to be on the World Cup, says David. We are going to be covering all the games of the World Cup on the channel, though, I should mention. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And it's Will Jordan, Crusader, who gets over the try line. I was about to call him Steve Anson, but Ian Foster does not look happy at the moment. And to be honest, other than that last-minute try, there wasn't a lot to be happy about for the All Blacks in that first half. And how on earth do you concede a try versus 14 men? I mean, France up against Scotland, that was the perfect example of when the side actually ended up being at a disadvantage on the field, they actually made up for it in the way that they played. And I wonder whether or not that red card is the wake-up call that the All Blacks actually needed to be able to start playing a little bit better. We have got there, ref giving soft pens here, trying to help here, says Hens. Although the penalty count, I think Springboks, they're going upstairs though. Now, I mentioned about that knock-on initially. They are now going back to have a look at it. I believe that there was a knock-on, though, in that breakdown. So, Stressful, although your commentary is great, come on, the All Blacks, says Bill Walker. Mark Talia, knock-on on the ground. I believe it is somewhere here. There you go. So they've said it's been knocked on before he hit the ground with the ball. So that is going to be no try for the All Blacks. The half will continue, ladies and gentlemen. The All Blacks did have the penalty advantage there. The ref is sympathetic to the ABs. For G's sake, says Johan. And Lord Whitelock start World Cup and Vi at 6 is likely, says Gregor. And also Will Jordan Goat, says Dunica. They are on a warning, 3 advantages in a row. And TVRS has to help, to help. If ref on field want to help the ABs, says Henny. I mean, the ref on field has already showed the All Blacks 3 cards, though, so I feel like it's a bit harsh to say that he's trying his best to help the ABs in this scenario. This is the end. I've done too good, says David. Can't believe we let them through, says Rudolph. Although, theoretically, at the moment, not yet. Still 0. That score should be taken back. 5 metres out from the line. Stolen by the Springboks again, and Mani Libok will boot the ball downfield. Hasn't managed to find touch, though. Maybe a crucial mistake. Mark Dallaire picks that ball up. He has Kurtley Arinsa chasing after him. He's running straight sideways. Gets it off to Will Jordan, who's bleeding from the mouth. Looks like he's got himself a goatee. Kicked him behind. Taken by Mani Libok, who's looking for the 50-22. He doesn't realise we're 45 minutes into the game, and he can kick that ball into touch to make a half-time. Looks like this time Geordie Barrett will be the player who boots it downfield. Does no one want to kick this ball into touch? Now Damien Valibza puts the ball out. That will be halftime, ladies and gentlemen. 14-0 for the Springboks. A completely different half of rugby than we saw in that opening game of the Rugby Championship, or the game that these two sides did play. We got a donation from David the Moth. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. After Scott Barrett sending off the ref, seems to be more sympathetic to the ABs. Hamish says, Charles, I think that's just because when you look at the positioning on the field, the Springboks have been getting penalised when they're inside of their own half. So the All Blacks, since Scott Barrett went off the field, have been inside of the Springboks half a bit more, hence why we've seen a few more penalties against them. I don't think it's some sort of conspiracy theory that all of a sudden the referee loves the ABs. What a half of rugby, says side to canvas, and Hamish says Sean, and there an ABs should have or could have asked for a worst half, or couldn't have asked for a worst half, and only down by 14, says Lord 7th. Is Barrett's a red or a yellow? So he got his second yellow, which gave him the red. I don't actually know if they're going through that system of trying to work out whether or not it's going to be upgraded to a straight red, even though he already had a red card. Love the commentary, brother Hamish. A great day at work, says Justin. Has South Africa made any replacements? Not yet, which makes the second half with the 7-1 split all that more intriguing, with the fact that the All Blacks have actually only got, All Blacks have got the 7-1 split. 7 on the field, 1 red card. So, different kind of 7-1 split. Pull the finger out, New Zealand. FG wake up the All Blacks as South Africa struggling to make points, says Rudolph. And I think that will be one takeaway from this first half that some Springbok supporters won't be too happy with, is the fact that they've only been able to score twice when they played up against a 13-man side and also now a 14-man side for the rest of the game. I think that if they are just that little bit more clinical, this could have been a lot more one-sided. And they have 5k votes in the poll. 10% of subscriber base in the chat, says Franz there. So yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And wow, huge shout out for the stream. Delightful stuff, says Yoni. And also hi, says Marley. And there as well. And any update on the injury, says Kevin. I know that Lomax, from the look of his injury, with the fact that they put it in a splint, he was still able to walk off the field, which I feel like is slightly good news for him. But I believe he's missing the World Cup. De Groot looks battered and bruised, but still keeps on continuing the match. So I'm worried that's going to do more harm than good. And then after that, the other injury that we saw, it was Luke Jacobson, I believe. He took a bit of a head knock from Dwayne Vermeulen's fist, but he should be all right. I believe it. Unbelievable, says Stuart. We have got there South Africans complain about the ref when they are winning or losing. Y'all kill with that, says Chuck T. And to be fair, we've had a lot of penalties throughout this first half, so there's plenty to talk about. In that department, spent 20 minutes on the AB's try line and could not score. Pathetic, says Rudolph. I'll be right back, says Yako there, and agreed. The ref is definitely not favourable to any team if any calls are going to the ABs. Jeez, the chat is going quick at the moment. I think I missed about 50 messages there, so I do apologise for that. Really impressed with the All Blacks defence. And the same the Springboks World Cup team, says Gamblers Express. And also half of South Africa listening to your commentary, says Sean there. And South Africa pushing South Africa back with 13 men. And like I mentioned, Scotland up against France. Perfect example of a team that had the disadvantage actually making the most of that opportunity. Did it get lost, says Francois. And there as well, yes, that's the thing. South Africa still had some very good moments throughout that first half. They've been able to put that pressure on the All Blacks more than a lot of people were anticipating for this match. And it's just that last pass. If we think about it, Makazole Mapimpi, when he tried to find that offload to Kanan Mooney, he didn't quite get it away. One of the tries being scored by Kurtley Arinsa was actually off the interception. We have got there, Cry Kiwi Lad Cry, I want to see you cry. I think I'm probably one of the Kiwis who are smiling the most at the moment, to be fair. But, yeah, I'm doing all right. Overall, I think it's a solid performance from the Springboks. The All Blacks, they have shown that they've got a lot to work on before their 2-week game away up against the French and Banish. I thought I'd pop in. What the heck is going on with the ABs? Discipline is the best way of putting it. They've had a lot of penalties against them throughout this game, just not playing it smart. They've had 4 against them at the rolling maul time. New Zealand not match fit. They won't be ready on the 8th. Says Ben CB. I'm an Australia All Blacks fan in Alabama. I broke away from work meeting. In there at halftime, I would rather be in the meeting, says Vincent George. Yeah, the scoreline is not the greatest. The All Blacks almost scoring at the end with that try of Will Jordan, but I did say about it in the build-up. I thought I saw a knock-on. The TMO went back and there was indeed the knock-on from Mark Talia. Wiggle that cap, mate. It's going to get hot in the next half, says Sean Pfister. And Kiwis were puffing after 15 minutes, says Democracy. Yeah, the last time we saw the All Blacks in action was up against Australia, and I believe that was early August. So it's been a little bit of time since we have seen them in action. I'm enjoying my holiday so far, says Just Cole. Oh yeah, you've got a big event coming up very soon. And congrats on your viewer count, bro. Almost 3,000. Thank you very much, Bulla Bro. Hugely appreciated. Anyone wondering what other games we have got going on this weekend? This is the World Rugby schedule of matches taking place, but we will be covering England versus Fiji at 2:15 a.m. Also alongside that, Ireland versus Samoa at 6:45, and France versus Australia, the 3:45 a.m. game on Monday morning. We will be covering that fixture as well as, believe it or not, it's a bit of a weird one, but I'll be going to work straight after that game, or relatively close to after that game by the time we have finished a little bit of editing. They've just talked about it in the All Blacks commentary booth. They're saying it's a bit anticlimactic, a little bit of a rough one about the game, Hamish. That is true. I forgot that you were also going to this as well as the Wembley one. And then, yeah, future enjoying this from Ireland. Hamish, good stuff. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. And we have got there from Philbot the Robot. Says, now then, Shagger. Unfortunately, I am single, Phil. Which is very sad. But, it is what it is. What channel UK? Firestick. I know that for the UK, it's not on Amazon Prime, I've heard, so probably Flow Rugby, maybe, and Vermeulen could be cited, says UFC Tube. I was interested to know if they were going to look at that one with him and Jacobson, just because I think Jacobson had his collar or had his shirt or something and was hanging on to it. So Vermeulen hit his hand a couple times, and then when he didn't let go, he hit him in the back of the head. But, I mean, it's one of those ones that, yes, Jacobson shouldn't hold him, but you're also not supposed to bulldoze someone's head on the back, and hope Lomax just needs a stitch-up. That opening game is going to need some young cats to swim from the deep. Unfortunately for Lomax, though, it's looking like a World Cup injury. Did Vermeulen rabbit punch him? Yeah, a bit of a hammer fist. Oh, I've just put it together. There is a reason he is known as Thor, because that's his hammer, the old hammer fist. And Vermeulen cited, says, FC Tube, did you watch Warriors yesterday? I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. I've never seen the All Blacks like this, says Scribble Scratch. It's certainly new territory for the ABs, although I should mention, I know that this is going to annoy a lot of people, but the All Blacks were down by about the same margin up against Australia in the second Bledisloe Cup match. Now, at that stage, Australia had already used a lot of their gas tank. The Springboks, they are only just firing up. When we look through at the reserves that they have got for this match, it is going to be Bongio Manambi, Austin Sher, and Trevor Nakanya. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Bongio Manambi makes his way onto the field sooner rather than later, mainly because it seems like maybe there's a bit of an injury for Malcolm Marx. He's been a bit slow getting up a couple times throughout that first half. Austin Sher and Trevor Nakanya, the other two in the front row replacements, Jean Klein, as well as RG Snyman, going to be there in the lock-in duo. Maka van Staden, Kobus Reinach, but no Willie LaRue. Due to the injury that he did sustain just before the game, it is Quagga Smith. So a 7-1 split for the Springboks. Throughout this match, penalties conceded 11 against the All Blacks, 5 against the Springboks. Territory and possession actually relatively close to 50-50, and the All Blacks have made just as many metres as what we have seen from the Springboks with 173. Now, it needs to be noted the All Blacks have had a couple more line breaks in that regard, big runs, so maybe a couple of those were about 30 or 40 metre individual runs, whereas the Springboks have built up phase after phase, 2 metres, 3 metres here and there, which is why those numbers are relatively identical, but do not actually represent the game per se, as we've seen a lot more dominance from South Africa. And for New Zealand, Taukei'aho, Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Null already out on the field due to the injury of Tyrell Lomax, Josh Lord and Tupa Vai already on the field due to Luke Jacobson coming off, Dalton Papali'i at 21, Cam Roygaard and Anton Leonard-Brown at number 22. We've got a whole heap of people in the chat at the moment. We do appreciate every single one of you tuning in. We're not the Aussies, mate. 14 ahead half time. Here it comes. Says Dan Paulson. That is why I said just before that, of course, it's a different scenario, but all that I was saying in that comment is the All Blacks have been down by a lot of points before. It's going to be a second half. Oh. Wait. They were talking about Tyrell Lomax, that it might just be a bad cut on the knee rather than an actual knee injury. Which is, I mean, it's a weird scenario because that looked like it was something to do with maybe, because they put it in a splint, I thought it was something to do with maybe a dislocation or something along those lines. It was Hulk, who socked Thor though, says there from Eric Davison, and keep it up box says, Keenan, so do let me know now in the second half, ladies and gentlemen, first try scorer for their team. Who do we think will be able to score that first try? Now, Malcolm Marx would have to be a decent shout for getting the first try of the second 40 minutes. Definitely because I believe we're going to see the Springboks definitely be more aggressive in the way that they play. They won't want to go for the 3-pointers. They'll want to get as many tries as physically possible, although maybe the first penalty that they get, they might consider that 3 just to really extend that lead. It's hard for us. We lived in New Zealand and my son, Kiwi by birth, but we live in South Africa now. Let the best team win, says Colleen. Yeah, if we're talking about the injury side of things, I would say that the All Blacks certainly have had the worst of it throughout that first half. I think we've only seen a little injury to Dwayne Vermeulen, but it looks like from that first 40 seconds or so, he should be all right. Let's go to the box, says Ruben. What happened with the AB's try? So it was taken away because of the knock-on from Mark Talia in the build-up. Now, we did call it at the time that I thought there was a knock-on. They did initially give it as a try, but then after that, they then went back and took it away. What is a 7-1 split? Pretty much 7 forwards, 1 back. So something that we haven't actually seen very often at all throughout international rugby. Almost 3,000 people watching, only 200 likes. Come on, guys, says Polly Bear. Yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 30,000 subscribers. So if you do want to help us out, it is very hugely appreciated. Steve Hansen, this is you doing distract the ABs from their lead up to this game, says Zion. And also we have there Mason Lunch crying for attention, says Chuck T. And also South Africa pushing way out into our backline, making it hard for us, says Ashley. And I think that the big thing for South Africa in this half is if a couple of those passes stick, they are going to be extremely dangerous. JD has disliked. Oh, well. There we have got there. I'm going to France for the World Cup, says Mason Lunch. So hopefully you will be enjoying it. What games are you going to, Mason? Do let me know. Will the red card stand? So at this stage, he was awarded the yellow card and then another yellow card after that, which upgraded to a red. So I don't believe they have given him the red as of yet. There's still a chance that he ends up with a ban of some sort, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, as he has had a few red cards in the past. When the second half starting, probably in about 3 minutes time or so, while we win the second half does get underway. Thanks for the awesome commentary, sir, says Robert Wild. Thank you very much, mate. We have got 2 more games later on tonight that we will be covering on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. The first of which being Fiji taking on England. And Kiwi Lad, your prediction for the Rugby World Cup opener between France versus the Kiwis, says Democracy. I think we've got to watch France play Australia first, because so far for the French, they didn't really step up in that game up against Fiji. They were able to get themselves the win, but they weren't quite that same side from the Six Nations. Their series up against Scotland was very hard to tell because it kind of went back and forth. And let's go the Bok, says Roel. And there, is this the real Springboks standing up, says Shafiq. If it is, they've chosen the perfect time to be able to do so. Andre Esterhuizen is the first try of the second half, says Productivity. And he's actually been very strong throughout this first 40 minutes. It'll make it very tricky for them to decide whether or not they go with that experience of Damien Dialende or whether they go with the youngster or the younger option of Andre Esterhuizen. Kiwi Lads best commentary watching from Ballito, South Africa, says Linnet there. And also, guys, does anyone know where I can watch the game live? Depending on whereabouts you are in the world, depends on your options. But if you can't find anywhere to watch the game live, the highlights will be up on YouTube pretty much straight after on the All Blacks YouTube channel. Knock on was crystal clear. And there from Rays, it was indeed, so they did go back and disallowed it. I hope you have some throat lozenges. I do not, but my voice will probably be gone by the end of the weekend, I would say. Scott Barrett got the card, says Ashley. He certainly did get the red. And All Blacks just need to adjust to this ref. It's looking at a different picture than they are, and only the ABs can control their penalties. Yeah, a whole 11 against the All Blacks in the first half compared to the only 5 that we saw from the Springboks. France are overrated, says Trajan. And warm-up games are not true reflections, says Timothy. A really crazy game, try to New Zealand, no try New Zealand, says Power for You. Although their try being disallowed was understandable due to the knock-on from Mark DeLeo. I see Samasoni Taukeiaho is now on the field for the All Blacks. So that is one change that they have decided to make. I'm liking the Moody Esterhuizen combo, and it gives the South Africans just a little bit of something, I guess, almost security in that midfield, if that makes sense, because if they don't have the availability of Damien Dialende and also Jesse Kriel, they've got this combination that they know now will be more than capable of getting the job done. I prefer Moody on the wing, says Lyle, although we've got to see a little bit more of his offload game in the midfield than we would normally see. But the Springboks now about to kick off for the second half. They are 14-0 ahead at the moment. Kicked off high from Mane Lebok. Nicely taken by Rico Ioane, lined up early by Makazole Mapimpi. A brilliant kick chase there in the box, looking like they are fired up for the second 40 as well. Samasoni Taukeiaho has first carry in the game. Now Richie Mo'unga goes off to Bowden Barrett. Tries to kick off his left. Thought about the cross kick, although I think it was also just more of... it was a bit more of a clearance kick, but it almost came off as a cross kick. When you're going to stop working and only do YouTube, says My Bad Gaming. Unfortunately, YouTube does not pay the bills. So I do work during the week, which is why on Monday, when we've got our France versus Australia game, pretty much after that, I'll be going to work from doing an all-nighter, but it's just one of those ones. YouTube for us is a hobby. Malcolm Mark, short side, scores the try. And that is brilliant work from the Springboks, cut open, just like Tyrell Lomax's knee. And it's going to be the first try of the half. 19 points to 0 now for the Springboks. A dream start to the second 40 minutes. Kiwi all the way, says Hamish. I think you need to come to South Africa and try our awesome biltong. And also, Jeffrey gets a warm-up game. No trophies on the table. It's a friendly, says Timothy there. We have got there Dialende. Should not be playing at all ever, says Stan. And how's the weather there looking? Dried out here on Wales. No, it was raining in the first half. I don't believe the rain is still around for the second, but it is still relatively slippery out there. Aaron Smith, he missed that tackle on the short side after the Springboks went for their rolling maul. We have got there what you get paid. Let's get you your calling, says David. But I've said the whole way through, any money made off the YouTube channel goes straight back into the channel. So I haven't actually made any money off YouTube at this point. You called it for Marks to get the first try, says Neil. I told you, Hamish, wiggle that hat, says Sean. Also, we have got there the ABs are done now, I reckon. It's just not their day, says Brian. Now, Mani Libok to line up this kick. He's currently sitting 2 from 2. Can he make it 3? Oh, no, there's still a little bit of rain around maybe by the looks of it. And about time the Boks playing like they used to. Much love from Johannesburg. Go the Bok. Mani Libok. He has got the kick over. That will be a massive confidence booster for that man. Friendly, no such thing between the Boks and the ABs, says Diane. What is happening, says Zabaid. It is another try to the Springboks. 43 minutes through the contest. Malcolm Marks a little bit more strapping around the head. Maybe took a bit of a cut in that first half disaster, but ultimately a good lesson for the ABs. Loss here will help New Zealand in the long term, I think, says Graggle. Going to be kicked in behind now. Taken nicely by Dwayne Vermeulen just inside of his 22. I believe most kickoffs have gone straight to him. Marnie Lecker, says James Taylor, proud South African. And McKinnon Bock all the way, says Katana. Now, Faf de Klerk rolling this ball back. Does put it nice and high. So running onto this one, Mani Libok. Or in fact, no, sorry, it was Richie Moonga not able to take that one cleanly. Going up against Kurtley Arinsa. And Durban, South Africa is standing still watching the game, says Sean there. And I'm watching on South Africa channel through Virgin Media in Ireland, says Shifty Lad. Looks like Bongi Manumbi will be making his way out onto the field as well now. Another change for the Springboks. We have got there your prediction for the end score. I'm calling 37-15 for the Boks. Believe it or not, at the start of this game, I predicted that it would only be a 5-point difference between these two sides. Although, to be fair, we didn't expect this to be the case. It's going to be a South African line out now after the ball did bounce off of Richie Moonga. A loss just before the World Cup is not a bad thing, says Trajan, and all the way from South African, go the Bok, says Tristan there. And should leave Marks on. I don't think they want to risk Malcolm Marks, though. At the end of the day, I think he's done a majority of what he needed to do throughout this fixture, and they want to have him fresh for that game up against Scotland, New Zealand, almost able to strip that ball in the breakdown. In fact, I think it's just going to pop out the back for the Springboks there. De Klerk goes across to Mostert. Sitting only 40 metres out from their own line here. The Springboks already crossed the try line 3 times in this match. Now De Klerk putting the ball up high once more. Chasing after this, it will be Canon Moody. No, not taken cleanly. It's a great take from Moonga, but he's driven backwards by Eben Etzebeth. Counter-ruck there from the box, but the ball pops out for Artie Savia off to Vai. Thought about the pass. Tackled by Dwayne Vermeulen. It looks like they didn't spend a huge amount of time inside of the Springboks half throughout that first 40 minutes. Damien Willem's a nice take from him. Will Jordan makes the tackle, 3 games for a red, says Jeffrey there. We have got there Dice Miller repeat scorer last weekend. Oh, Canon Moody kicks it out of the hands of Rico Ioane. Great step from him. Goes round Bowden Barrett. It's a 3-on-1 Moody. And number 13 has just lit Twickenham on fire and gets himself what could be his first of many outside centre tries for the Springboks. The All Blacks, they forgot how to tackle, and Moody just showed why he can be so dangerous in that midfield combination. Aaron Smith's got a big smile on his face as if to say, what has happened here? But Rico Ioane has the ball kicked out of his hand. Moody has been all over Ioane throughout this fixture. And moodiness continues, says James Taylor. I'm watching a load shedding in Johannesburg. To be fair, it's a complete disaster, says Stuart Moore. And we've also got the ouch from Bill Walker and wait ref need time, says Enzel. And also, geez, where's Libok? Got the kicking boots, says Katana. And I will mention, for Mani Libok, yes, some people have been criticising his kicking game, but whether you like him or hate him, he's the 10, so be sure to support him, is all I'm going to say. Because the same people who were saying last week he doesn't deserve that 10 because he can't kick are now the same people who are praising him for what he's been able to do in this game. That is a big knock on, is it? Wait. If there's hands in the ruck from New Zealand, number 13 is offside, they have just said. So this might end up being a no try. So New Zealand have won it. Canon Moody is not behind the hindmost foot, and unfortunately for him, he's just scored an absolute blinder of a try. That is going to be ruled as not a try. He's not bound to that ruck. It's going to be called as a no try for Kurt Learinsa. What step, says Irish Tom, no power in some of Cape Town. Can't wait to catch the highlights. Thanks for the live stream, says Daniel. No worries at all. Money is brilliant, says Jan. Any news on the red? Is it just a red or is it just a yellow red or a red red? I think it's currently just a red for him. Okay, and Moody, all he needed was one step back there and it would have been probably one of the tries of his career. Now kick downfield from the All Blacks. They'll be inside of the South African 22s. Or South African 22, I should say. Oxnard now has made his way onto the field. Same with Trevor Nakanye. And just subscribe, you're damn good. How are you doing, mate? Says it was Katana. Thank you very much. Now Aaron Smith, what's this? Box kick from 22 metres out the All Blacks. Going with the new tactic, Will Jordan. Unable to take it, although it has bounced back onto the side of the All Blacks after the knock-on from South Africa. So the ABs will have to scrum 10 metres out. Are you aware someone is streaming this on Twitch? Or is that you, says Squid? It is not myself. So I was not aware, no. Darn, that looks so good. Still shows how good Moody is. Says Albert. We have also got there a disallowed try is going to keep the box honest, says the breakdown. But awesome play from Cannon. Now the scrum feed. RG Snyman and Jean Klein both made their way onto the field. Same with Mako van Staden and Kwaka Smith. The only forward who has kept his spot in the 4-pack, I believe at this stage. Who is it? Is Peter Steph-Toy. He is the one player left who hasn't been switched from the whole 4-pack. We've got 57-0 on the way, says Luke. And player ahead of the ball, says Charles. So yeah, the score does remain 21-0 at the moment. Big scrum there from the Springboks applying pressure, but it is going to be the All Blacks who manage to get the ball out the back. Canon Moody makes the tackle on Rico Ioane. Now Smith slinging it off to this right-hand side. Samatsoni Taukei'aho finds his offload away to Will Jordan. Flicks it back inwards, trying to keep the ball alive, but it's a knock-on from New Zealand. Or a forward pass, they've said, from Will Jordan. Oh, why doesn't he blow the ABs offside? He has. Throughout this game, the All Blacks been penalised 12 times compared to the Springboks 6. But I get where you're coming from. The box all the way. South Africa love from Zimbabwe. Says Mark. You pronounce the South African surname so well. Well done, says Colleen. Thank you very much. And no ball ahead of the player, says Isaac. And totally outplaying the All Blacks, says Brian. Yeah, this game, it's been well and truly different to what we saw in that first game of the Rugby Championship between the two teams. And the kicker was ahead of the All Blacks, says Isaac. We knew that there would be days like this. No need to freak out. This is not a featuring game, says Kernowick. Now, South Africa, they have got themselves the scrum 5 metres out from their own line. Nicely fed in. They're looking for that big shove. The All Blacks try and hold strong, but Taukei'aho's head pops up. Now to the short side off to Makazole Mapimpi. Trying to break through. Good tackle made on him by Geordie Barrett. So the box now move up to 15 metres out from their try line. Now Willemse, I should say, trying to find the gap. Great step. Almost went through Xavier and Whitelock's defence. Now Peter Steph-Toy finds the pop pass on the inside to Makazole Mapimpi. This is good phase play from South Africa. They will go back 30 metres for that scrum penalty now. That too long, says Enzo. Are you single, says Bus? I am, yes. Is it any surprise? The forward was layoff. was lay off, get nervous, says Isaac. And also we have get there, the box says RJJ and come on the box. And English ref says Charles and there as well. Although the All Blacks, they have still been way too, I guess, ill-disciplined throughout that first half. And well, New Zealand, look how the turntables have turned, I assume that is. And Hamish looking for a South African girl, I think. Says Hensel. And as far dumb, Gregan would have taken the penalty line kick immediately, says Hanoi. But now a couple more changes being made. Ethan de Groot, his eye is completely swollen shut. He will be off the field for Tamaiti Williams. And Sam Whitelock now making his way off. That is for Josh Lord. Now, Bonyo Manambi, not straight line out from him. Unfortunately, that is what happens when it is the switch between Umbanambi and Marks. You get a little bit less line out accuracy. And Bok, you got the South African watching here from the UK. Says Martha, the AB says Charles. Yeah, Bonyo Manambi actually almost threw that one straight to Marnie Libok. That's how wonky the throw was. The only reason to win this game is to knock Ireland off the mountain, says David Vickers. And why was the try not given, says Blake Gray. So it was for offside at the breakdown from Kanan Moody. Other than that, it was perfect for him. The step in, getting the ball down. But yeah, just offside at the time when New Zealand got the turnover. And Box, little bites at a time, eats a Kiwi, says Sean. Are Box cannibals? Or I guess, what is it? It's not herbivore carnivores. Springboks, I guess. And is Scott Barrett's card upgraded? Straight red card. Well, because he already had a yellow card, it's a red card anyway. Nice ball off to Savia, but he has knocked that ball on. They'll go back for the original advantage in favour of the All Blacks. We have got their Kiwi fruit, says RJJ. We would have played till his eye came out, says Tainer. He seems to be one of those players who just digs in deep, Ethan de Groot, and hopefully he hasn't got any serious injuries. I know that he's been down a couple times throughout this match. Spending of South Africans in New Zealand, finding one won't be a problem. Referring to finding a South African girl, says Colleen there. So Sam Cane just talking to the medics. Oh, it might have been the knock. Right, they're going to check foul play from Peter Steph de Toy here. His right arm makes contact to the head of Sam Cane. This might end up being a yellow card for Peter Steph de Toy. Matthew Carley going to be looking at the screen. Right. Oh, arm to the head of Sam Cane. Dipping a little bit. So might be the thing that only makes it a yellow card rather than a red. The red contact to the head. It's got to be a yellow card rather than a red, I would say here. But Peter Steph de Toy is going to make the score now, make the teams 14 versus 14 with his ill discipline. The one player who got to stay on the field, Bonyo Manambi, saying there was a duck. Is Bonyo Manambi the captain? I assume he is, seeing as Sia Khaleesi made his way off the field. And Bongi was trying to say it's not a red card. The ref was saying, mate, it's not. We're trying to give him a yellow. And Bongi went, oh, okay, never mind. This could be another red. Nah, just a yellow card for Peter Steph de Toy there. And yellow only, says audio. And there as well. So it is on review. And what that means is they can upgrade it to a red card within the next 6 minutes or so. If not, Peter Steph de Toy will be back out there on the field after only the 10-minute break. Springboks are herbivores, favourite food, though kiwi fruit, says Franz Smith. That's going to be a good kick downfield from New Zealand. They have now got themselves back to 14v14 and a line out from inside of the Springboks. 22 guys, Kiwis and Boks are good. May the best team win, says Sean Pfister. And I feel like it's one of those scenarios that a majority of the fan base do want to see both of these sides do well in the World Cup. But then also there are a few who want to see the other side's demise, it would seem. But it's normally South Africa and New Zealand. It's a rivalry built on respect because both sides know how strong the other can be. That's a knock-on there from Josh Lord. Not what the All Blacks would have been after there. I think South Africa has huge potential. We have the spirit, so that makes us so strong, says Tanner. And yellow on review isn't good news, says Brian, although it is just the system that they've got now. Although most of the times when we're seeing a yellow on review, it does become a red. But in this case, I think it'll be all right with just a yellow. What do you call kiwi fruit in New Zealand? Just fruit, says RJJ. Well, it was originally called the Chinese gooseberry. Fun fact. And then, yeah, just kiwi fruit. And Noah Reid, says Isaac. Watch Josh Lord at the Rebels. He has, just showing that contact again. It was a relatively tough one on the head from Peter Steph-Toy. I don't know if Josh Lord was a Rebels boy. I think he's been in New Zealand for a little while. We've got their Springboks bad. Says Peter Steph. I don't know whether they can be called bad when they're 21-0 up over the All Blacks. Reviews are just to keep refs busy between games, says productivity. And load shedding, that's rough, says Chuck T. Now the scrum feed for South Africa, 20 metres out from their line. What great comms and what a game, says Bus there. The ref is, says Tony. It is Matthew Carley, for anyone wondering, referee for this game. Twickenham singing a little bit of the Beatles. By the sounds of it, Kiwis already blaming the ref. In reality, it's extremely poor discipline by the ABs. Exactly right. We've seen some very poor decision-making from a few of those ABs forwards. In the rolling mauls, they should have been a lot better with their timing. Seriously love matches between these two teams. I want one of them to win the World Cup, says the breakdown. I would sub Peter Steph-Toy. Should the yellow card stand, no use in risking him any further. World Cup should take preference, although they've already made all 7 of their subs. So, unfortunately, the only one that he could possibly... They might go Kobus Reinach as his replacement and hopefully have enough forwards, but I don't think that's the case. I think they've made all of those changes already. Stay relatively low, didn't go forward into the player, says Charles. Yeah, it will only be the amount of contact that they would possibly look at, but I only see it as a yellow. I don't think it will be any more than that. And can Marks come back on? The other guy is hopeless. Unfortunately not, no. Unless Bongo Nambi ends up with some sort of head knock, it will still be him for the rest of the game. Ref has spare Uno cards in the other pocket. And the All Blacks, says Gary there, and Carly has been a good ref, says Jan. And the captain of the ABs isn't sleeping today, says Dana. And the Peter Steph-Toy yellow is soft. That is not a yellow, says Hensel. I'd say it's a yellow, mainly because it was head contact with the arm. The thing that saved it from a red was the fact that he was ducking and also the directional change from Sam Cane, but I think it's still a yellow. And the way that the rule book is written in nowadays, they give it as a yellow card. We have got there, Scott Barrett's yellow looked worse, but he only got a yellow, says Charles. And my blood is green, and it's great. I think green blood might actually be quite dangerous. I think it's supposed to be red and then blue in the other vein. Or it's not supposed to be blue, but it's in a blue vein. Biology, eh? Gotta love it. You have been an awesome presenter. A little bit earlier on from it was Tanner. Well done, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. Springboks now have got themselves another scrum here from still inside of their 22. 25 minutes remaining. The way the rule stands, it's a yellow. You're right there, Hamish, says Charles. Now nicely passed across from Mani Libok. Goes to Damien Valimzu, who looks to get territory on the ball. Massive amount of space in behind the All Blacks defensive line, and they are now going to be about 40 metres out from their own line for the All Blacks attack. We've got their World Cup of cards, says Derek, and ABs aren't sandbagging. They are following Foster's plan, a stupid one, says Bill, and we need this ref in the finals, says Anthony there. And also we got the South African flag from Lawazi, and also that trophy next to it. Is it better for World Rugby if the Boks win the cup? Says Hanoi. It's a tricky one. Because, don't get me wrong, of course, Southern Hemisphere-wise, I know a lot of people want to see a Southern Hemisphere team walk away with the trophy. World Rugby, I think, would prefer to see a side that hasn't won it before win it, so that, I guess, the overall World Rugby scene is a lot closer, so people will be a lot more intrigued in it. That's a long kick from the Springboks. It's gone dead. They'll go right back to where Faf de Klerk kicked it from for the All Blacks scrum. No chance for the ABC's given Layla. And also we have the Bok need another in the next 5 minutes to stay ahead safely. Says productivity. And isn't it crazy that being 21-0 up in a game, I think that's showing the credit that some people have and give to New Zealand. Because, wait. Okay, Peter Steph-Toy, he is going to remain as a yellow card there. It's a joke that ref just said very high danger, but stays yellow, says Hensel. And how was that high danger? It was because of the swinging arm to the head of Sam Cane. But if it was any more serious, it would have been a red. Stays as a yellow, so I feel like overall you should be relatively happy, Hensel. Hasn't been upgraded. What a ridiculous yellow. He was wrapping in the tackle, accidentally not dirty. Says burning lash. We have made a statement, whatever. What happens from now? Very true. And the Springboks have shown that they are going to be one of the top dogs in this Rugby World Cup. Artie Savia passes across. Now quick hands out to Will Jordan. Great cover defence from Faf de Klerk. Oh, another drop ball for the ABs. This time it's Tupavai who puts the ball down and it becomes a penalty for not releasing. And we have got there, it's a Kiwi lad's hat, not an AB's, says NATO there. We have got there BS, says Hensel there. I guess it's a agree to disagree scenario. The law book those states, unfortunately, yellow card. That's how America show in the world, says David. We have got the excuses now, says Graham, and there as well. Now South Africa looking to get their 4th try in this fixture. Lucky break for Peter Steff. Wouldn't want it to go to the World Cup without him, says Rick. And yeah, he's certainly going to be one of those players, whether or not he's playing 7 or whether they go with Mostert. Either way, Peter Steff is one of those guys that you want to have in a starting lineup. This is a sign the All Blacks will win the World Cup, says Peter Stowers. I come from the future. New Zealand defeated 22 points to 21 over South Africa. Tell you what, they're going to have to get a move on. There's only 22 minutes remaining. Are we peaking too soon, says John Needling. I think 2 weeks out from a World Cup is not peaking too early, to be honest. I feel like that is the perfect time to be peaking. That's going to be almost another advantage against the All Blacks for coming down early. Yes, it is. And now, rolling maul again. Bongio Manambi hanging on to this one. The boxer over the try line. And it's the Springboks who now strike 28 points. Looks like Kwaka Smith having a bit of a wrestle here with Artie Savia. Oh, it's because Artie Savia has the ball and Kwaka wanted it. And John Klein now wants the ball as well. Okay, they're going to have a check of this one, seeing as Artie Savia has ended up with the ball. How much time now? Only 21 minutes remaining. Must be a record for the longest time New Zealand kept a nil, says Gareth. It's got to be up there anyway in terms of the longest amount of time the ABs haven't been able to score up against the Springboks, that is. I know they've had a couple games up against other opposition where they have taken a bit longer. They're playing under penalty advantage already here for the Springboks. Even if it's a no try, they will be going back for that advantage. But I believe Bongio Manambi, it's going to be very hard to see from that angle. But, oh, that's held up, is it? Was it held up or just down? I think it might have been just on the turf for Bongio Manambi. Watching the game live and it's rubbish going to work instead of watching this, says Jackalope. Or Jackalope, I should say. Have you showered lately? Says Jared Rowlands. I have, yes. I assume that you think not, though. But had to shower so that I could wear the suit, couldn't I? And South Africa must be going crazy, says James McCarthy. And also we have their Bok shedding their load on New Zealand. Says David, and the kick is over from Marnie Libok. Another fantastic strike from that man. I'm hoping that anyone who was saying he should be dropped for his kicking is now willing to give him that chance that he should have been given from the get-go. We have got no bonus points, says Novmum there. And also, are you sure they haven't got 16 players on the field? They are everywhere, says Stuart. And yeah, that is playing with 14 men as well, I should mention, for the Springboks with that yellow card of Peter Steff de Toy. But now Faf de Klerk looking to roll this one back. Go for the box kick. And good for him, says Hannah. And Faf's here, or the budgie, under the flag Speedo, says Pete. Oh, nicely taken by Richie Moonga. Big shot coming in again. And I feel like in this game, the word for the Springboks has been physicality. Just being able to outmuscle New Zealand. New Zealand have had some pretty poor moments throughout this game when it comes to their discipline, which they will certainly have to work on before we get to that Rugby World Cup. Cam Roygaard on the field now for Aaron Smith as well, I should mention. Sam Kane, nice step. Tackled low by RG Snyman. Springboks making all 7 of their forward replacements at the exact same time. And I guess Marnie has fixed his kicking. Yips, says Charlie, and shame for the All Blacks, says Sitoli. Now kicked him by Marnie Libok, just dropping that one, but it does go backwards, still inside of his 22, and we'll be able to kick this one downfield towards the touchline. I think the Springboks broke the All Blacks, says Albert there. Now Moonga going across to Will Jordan. Great low tackle made from Mako van Staden. An aggressive one. Kwaka Smith jackals and gets the turnover. RG Snyman now. The big man running with the wide cutout pass. Goes straight to Mark Talia, who finds the offer up to Samasoni Taukiaho. This game's certainly more one-sided than a lot of people were anticipating. Good snipe from Cam Roigard, just knocks it on in the process though again for about the 15th time in this game. The All Blacks have dropped that ball and better step the toy back on. Says Enzel and New Zealand not fit. What do you think, Amy? Says Kevin. I'm not sure whether or not it's the fitness side of things that has been the struggle. I think it's more been the discipline as well as the handling in this game. And yes, some people might say that might be because they haven't had a game in a while, but I think it's just something's not working for them. And it's the last thing you want just before a World Cup is to have a game as one-sided as this. Yes, it fires up some teams, but it also could be what they have in the back of their mind, right? Makazole Mapimpi, he is off the field, and that is going to be for Kobus Reinach now. So I believe Reinach will be making his way maybe out onto the wing, or Faf de Klerk might make a bit of a reshuffle. We've seen South Africa play with two halfbacks on the field before, and the Boks are playing very well, or the All Blacks are not doing their best. Says it was Pete. Will Jordan now making his way off the field for the ABs. That is for Anton Leonard-Brown. I believe one other change has been made here as well. We have got there, so when was Springboks' last nil loss? I wonder, says Mr. Lerm. It's been a little while since the Springboks have had a low scoring game. I believe up against Argentina was their lowest score for it was a few years anyway. For the Boks, I think, or something along those lines. That's going to be knock on from Faf de Klerk now, scrum feed for the All Blacks. If something isn't working for them, it's fair play, says Jan. And also we have got there, it's not the Rugby World Cup yet, says Mr. Loom. And also we have got there, no way ABs, and this makes Wales' B team performance against the Boks look okay. I'm joking, says Fleshin. And who would you say is man of the match? I think, there's been some great performances from the forwards. Canon Moody, if he had scored that try, well and truly could have had that man of the match secured. They might even look at someone like an Andre Esterhuizen in this match as possibly man of the match material, although Marnie Libok has been solid at number 10. And only a game, says Nya. And also New Zealand can't finish with no points, says Blake. And I'll be happy if New Zealand just get one try. It's the free kick this time for New Zealand. South Africa going early. Roigard takes the quick tap, goes off to Rico Ioane, who runs straight at Faf de Klerk. Now Roigard back across to Artie Savia. Wide cut-out pass from Richie Mo'unga. Broken through the tackle was Mark Delia of Reinach. And now breaking out of the Damien Valimza challenge as well. 45 metres out from the line. Roigard back across to Richie Mo'unga. Another knock on from the All Blacks. Every second pass at the moment has been put down from the ABs. Valimza has been good at 15. He has been. And I feel like that is certainly his better position than number 10 for them. And Libok has been solid today. Marnie Libok has been solid tonight, says Charles. And also their excuse will be they've used their second team, says Marion. What, the All Blacks? I don't think this is a second team for the ABs. In fact, this is probably more than likely about 13 of the 15 players who are playing up against France. I feel like, I don't know whether or not this is just me because I look at most things from an impartial view, but sides are very quick to come up with excuses that aren't really relevant for it. You know, like anytime I hear the B team excuse, it annoys me because at the end of the day, if you're in the international squad, you are good enough to be there. Yes, you might not be a first string player in terms of who they would normally select, but that's like saying in this case, Andre Esterhuizen's a B team player because he's not Damien de Allende, and that's just not the case. He's a world-class player, having a phenomenal game at number 12. But, yeah, Retallick and Frizzell, the only players missing, and both due to injury, so the All Blacks couldn't really do anything about that. And Snyman with the fire emoji from Lawazi, and the All Blacks are always good in the rain, says My Bad Gaming. Well, they forgot that it's raining for this game. We'll say that much. But scrum feed now on the halfway line will be Faf de Klerk, who once again has got the field. They're playing like a second team, says Neris. And damn, it feels great to see Kiwis being fresh, says Alfie. And it does make it interesting overall because the All Blacks, they were on a big winning streak heading into this contest. They've had one draw and about 10 wins in a row. This has given them that reality check of, hang on, this World Cup is going to be a lot more challenging than maybe we first anticipated. I feel like that is something that will either make or break them. And we're watching from Durban, South Africa, says Sean. And also, we have got AB's defeat, could make them very dangerous in the World Cup. Ball fed in now by Faf de Klerk. Big scrum again. We've seen some brilliant dominance at scrum time from the Springboks throughout this game. Wide cutout pass from Faf de Klerk down to Kobus Reinach. Now with his first touch of the day. And bring back Buck. Says Nerdis, they are playing under penalty advantage as well. Now Quaha Smith wrestled towards the touchline. Now Marco Van Staden. Tackled down low. Can South Africa move up to number 1 in the world, says Zach Baker. I'm not sure whether they can quite get to number 1, but I think, it's the breakdown loose from the Springboks this time, but they will go back for the original penalty. Yeah, I think that they can move up to number 2 anyway, if I'm not wrong. There was still a little bit of a gap between South Africa and New Zealand though, so I think they can just get there because of the rankings. We have got there 12 metres, let's go Springboks. 12 minutes, I should say. We have also got there the scrums are unfair. Says Tane, at the moment the Springboks have just shown that they are well and truly up for it at scrum time, and that is to credit the Springboks, because in the first game between these two sides of the Rugby Championship, they were more 50-50. The All Blacks were getting some advantages. The Springboks were doing the same. In this game, it's been all Springboks. Please say hi to the Beck family supporting the Springboks in England. Just shout out to the Beck family. Great honest commentary, thanks. Says Peter Clark there. And also go the Bok, says Carly. Now Bongyum Manumbi, this is from 5 metres out from the line. And a great opportunity for the Springboks to yet again march their way over the try line. I love this channel, says Johan. Thank you very much, mate. Bring back Christian Cullen, says Afali Fatu. Nicely taken by Peter Steph Toy, offloaded back to Quaka Smith. He's over the line, the replacement. He did score himself a try the last time that these two sides faced off. Also had the most tackles made, and now manages to get himself a try here. Quaka Smith, that'll bring the score up to 33 points in favour of South Africa. I can already smell the braai, says Harold, and I can tell you what, there's going to be a lot of braais going all day and all night today. But, of course, like we mentioned, Springboks, yes, it is crucial, and it is brilliant that they're going to be able to walk away with this performance, but a lot of people are looking at this game and then going, we've got a World Cup just there, and that is the one that a lot of Boks supporters want to take out. And I have to say, after the way we've seen them play in this game, they are a very good chance of walking away with that 2023 World Cup. WTF, New Zealand, says Emma. An amazing South Africa, says Albert. And cry, Kiwilets, cry, I want to drink your tears, says Hank. Or Hink, I should say. I mean, the only thing that will... Never mind. I was going to say the only liquid that will be coming out of me is my urine from drinking this, but I don't think you want to drink that unless you're Bear Grylls. Steve Hansen's fault, says nah. And also we have got there, what is happening to the All Blacks, just asking, says Ed. Unfortunately, they've been very lackluster in this game. Penalties against them, discipline problems, but then also alongside this, the Springboks have just been able to push them throughout the 70 minutes. Bet Squidge is wishing he waited another day or two for his video to be uploaded about New Zealand. We have got there the people behind you in the plane, or in the plane can't believe what they see. And also we have got there go Bok loving commentary all the way from South Africa. We have got there what the hell, All Blacks. No chance of winning the cup, says Shane. That is going to be a knock-on this time from the Springboks. E. Jones is a good person, says Dolly. And the result doesn't mean anything except it does. Brownie points, ABs. Looked a bit lethargic tonight. Very unlike the AB, says Charles. And I mentioned about it before the game started. About an hour from kickoff, I said that this would be setting up beautifully for a World Cup final rematch. The reason I say that, the All Blacks winning the game in the Rugby Championship by a relatively comfortable margin. Then the Springboks in the warm-up game of the Rugby World Cup say, we'll make it 1-1. And now the decider, the trilogy, could take place as either the quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup or the final. And I think a lot of people want to see it as the final rather than that quarter. He's hydrated, ladies. Says Blake, we got a new channel member as well. Macchiato, thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. Scrum, once again for the All Blacks, looking a little bit shaky, but they have been able to retain that one with Rico Ioane charging forward now. And Quaka Smith, who is wearing the number 24 jersey due to that last-minute change. Him replacing Willie LaRue, but now Samasoni Taukiaho wrestled down, loose ball. Andre Estes, and has to take a lot of credit there. He was able to rip that ball away. Adi Savia almost getting themselves penalised there. Now a big run forward from Oxnechet, loose ball, but Faf de Klerk manages to pick it up, kick it down the field, nicely taken by Mark Talia at the back. Are you pure Kiwi because you get named spot on for the Springboks there, Sean? I am, well, I believe I'm 100% Kiwi, or at least like from New Zealand anyway. I think I've got like Scottish roots or something along those lines. Now Cam Roigard, a lot of pressure there, tries to snipe round the side of the breakdown, unsuccessfully. Rush defence there from Kurtley Arinza. The All Blacks are getting drowned at the moment by the box defensive pressure. Tupavai, tackled by RG Snyman. And we have got there, blimey, New Zealand jet lag, says Lisa Smith. Something hasn't been right for them. Another loose ball, ripped away by Kwaka Smith, but Cam Roigard with the sniping run, breaks through 3 tackles. Still going, Cam Roigard. Is he going to be caught by Cobus Reinach? He is, but he gets the ball down anyway. And that has possibly just got Roigard the spot off the bench rather than Finlay Christie for this Rugby World Cup. He's a brilliant try scorer for the Hurricanes. It will be the first try of the match for the All Blacks, but Cam Roigard, you're going to have to remember that name because he is one of the young prospects New Zealand brought in for this 2023 season. Too good, says Keith. A 13-0 loss against South Africa in 1960, says Gareth. And nearly Fozzie, says Isaac. A great run from Cam Roigard. Broke through 3 tackle attempts. And then from there, Reinach able to make the tackle just a little bit too late, though. And Roigard able to use his momentum and go over the try line, but ducks under the tackle attempt of Cannon Moody, got round Kwaka Smith, missed tackle attempt from RG Snyman, missed tackle from Damian Willemse, missed tackle from Mani Libok, and that is how he scored the try. So that will concern South Africa a little bit. They've been so strong in their defence throughout this whole match, and then, a bit of a late shot there from Kurtley Arinza. Have the Kiwis been in the drugs, mate? Says Blake G. Not sure. I don't know what's available over in England in terms of recreational substances. Can't you show the match, please, man? Sadly not, but the highlights will be up on YouTube straight after the game is finished. The only one that haven't given up, says Ronnie Thompson, and that's what you need from these young players. The fact that he's come on the field and gone, right, well, we're losing badly, so I've got to try and do something here. Always good to have Scottish roots, says Tanner. Now 8 minutes remaining. The All Blacks, it's a little bit out from their own line. We have got there, so what, says Clinton. And South Africa is the best, says Cornet there. Kick downfield from Cam Roigard off the left hand boot. Well, get the bad performance out of the way before the World Cup. They have been a man or two down all game also, although that is down to their poor discipline. So I feel like they won't be able to blame anything but themselves in that scenario. Good kick there from Bowden Barrett. Damian Willemse close to the touchline, just inside of his 22, will look to put the kick back downfield. Frizzell is the big difference for me. ABs have looked a bit toothless tonight, and sadly with Frizzell's injury, they will be missing him for a little bit of time. What happened to ABs tonight? Are they just fed up on winning games, says Dennis? Yeah, it does end the winning streak. Condolence try, although I still feel like the Springboks will be disappointed to have conceded it, because they won't see it that way. They would have seen it as a couple missed tackles that shouldn't have been missed, and yeah, will frustrate them. They wanted to finish this game with 0. Now Mani Libok, after Damian Willemse, flat pass out to Cobus Reinach, maybe even just a tad forward now after Kwaka Smith, breaking through the tackle attempt of Anton Leonard-Brown. After Clerk feeds the ball through the legs, Libok off to RG Snyman, he's knocked it on this time. Now Cam Roigard, another step in, nice pass off to Tupavai, who just couldn't quite get his pass away. Now passes it up, RG Snyman offside, running back, and that will be another penalty to the ABs. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The All Blacks losing 35 points to 7, Awesome Country, and up the wires, says Usfata there. And unfortunately, you want anything you want, mate. Unfortunately, says Flesham. Thank you, South Africa, for ensuring Ireland will enter the World Cup at number 1, says Gavin. And Springboks played a boss game. Salute, says Wyatt Weeks. Yeah, they've just been very impressive throughout this 80 minutes, or 74, that we've had so far, but they've looked clinical, they've looked physical. That is the big difference. I think in the first game between the two sides of the year, the All Blacks actually were able to match the physicality of the Boks. But to be honest, in this game, it's been unmatched with the way they've been able to go. And also the line-out turnovers, just getting themselves another one there for the Boks to sit 25 metres out from their own line with yet again the ball in hand. People think that I'm mad here in Canada shouting for the Bok in the car, says Bokski. Kicked up high. Nicely taken by Richie Moonga. Quaka Smith though straight on the ball. Looking for that turnover. Reinach now gets his hands on it, and the Springboks get themselves yet again another turnover in the breakdown, but the penalty this time goes the way of the All Blacks. I'm just trying to work out what that penalty was for. I think it might have been accidental offside, was it? In that case, but Geordie Barrett now going to be kicking that one for the touchline. They'll be about 10 metres out from the line. Don't forget the 5 extra in the first half, says Gus. That is true, so we are actually at about that 80-minute mark. Come on the Bok, says Ravano. And no need to worry, mate. We will sort it out. That South Africa team soon, wink, wink, says Dennis. And this puts Wales' performance against the Boks last week into perspective, says Toby. Thrown into Josh Lord, uncontested from the Springboks that time. 15 metres out. Anton Lienert-Brown drops the head, knocks the ball on as well. And now Andre Esterhuizen off to Mani Lebok. Tries to find the sling and pass, and it does by the hands of Curly Arinsa, who has got Dalton Papali'i on him, knock on from Damien Valimza. But if it had found his hands, I believe New Zealand had tackled each other, so he would have been able to have a certain run. And Anton Lienert-Brown, there would have been a 4 pass to Josh Lord, so Tupavati does get it instead, wrestled down by Oxnishare. Okay, well, lads, getting a green hiding today. Zany there, yeah, hasn't been a good performance from the ABs. Brilliant performance from the Springboks, though. I don't think anyone can take that away from them. Tupavai now breaking through RG Snowman's tackle. Cam Roigard again running forward. Off to Geordie Barrett with this cross kick attempt. The ball just going to roll. Oh, it almost went into touch. I think he might have kept it in the field of play, but it does go dead. A shame we can't watch this live on YouTube. Supersport should have a YouTube subscription for this, says Francois Smith. And 4.5k watching and listening. Great job, Hamish. You got my vote on any game, says Sean Pfister. And thank you very much, mate. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are covering all of the Rugby World Cup. So if you are new, it is hugely appreciated if you take that time to hit that subscribe button. Hi, Abana. How's my hair from the front? Oh, sorry, didn't see. It's you, Rinsa, says Philip. And wow, the Springbok. Nice work from Cam Roigard. He's had a real impact off the bench at this point. And also we have got there, where's the Scotland will beat the Springbok Clowns, says JP. Seems like there's a lot of tension going into that first game of the World Cup for the Boks in Scotland, isn't there? Seems like it's not so friendly. But we will be covering it on the channel, so be sure to check that out. I like how you roll your R. You're doing it well, says Zany. Thank you very much. And your pronunciation is on par. Big ups, man, says it was there from Kagabudi. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. I feel like I may have mispronounced your name, which I do apologise for. Now it's going to be Faf de Klerk. Scrum feed now gone down in the front row, so we will have another reset. Only 2 minutes remaining now on the clock here. Brilliant commentary, Hamish. Thanks, mate, says Brian. And also we've got there Roigard looking promising and stayed up all night for nothing, says Shane Hayes. Why did you stay up all night, Shane, rather than sleeping with this game taking place at 6:30 a.m? I am curious. I actually ended up going to bed early for this matchup. I think I went to sleep at about 8 p.m. so that I could wake up nice and early. Thanks for the excellent and impartial commentary, says Owen. Thank you very much, mate. Now, Faf de Klerk. He's had a pretty solid game overall at number 9. I'm impressed with pronunciation of the South African's name. You are far better than any South African channel. It's a huge compliment. Thank you very much. Now, Andre Esterhuizen picks the ball up for the Springboks, and that will now be another penalty, this time in favour of the All Blacks. Adi Savia takes the quick tap, looking to try and get the way over the try line once more before the end of this matchup, and even so, the score will be very well split. Watching NRL and had a few beers, says Shane Hayes. Well, the NRL only went to about midnight, didn't it? I believe. Now Simisoni Taukei'aho going off to the left-hand side, off to Adi Savia. Now Roigard, one more pass off to Rico Ioane, tries to drive the legs. Roigard going now to the right to Mark Talia, lined up by RG Snyman, who grabbed him by the shorts and he was not letting go. Savia off to Taukei'aho. The All Blacks, by the looks of it, with 30 seconds remaining, will have the last attacking opportunity of the day, unless, of course, there is an interception. That is going to be a penalty advantage now against the Springboks for being offside. Roigard off to Josh Lord. Nice sell to the dummy. He almost went straight through Mani Lebok. Ball pops out. Roygar pops it up now to Dalton Papali'i at number 21 for this game. The All Blacks going with that 6-2 split. Now Roygar, Waikato pass, does find the hands of Alimza, and it is going back now for the original penalty. Hamish, our favourite commentary. We don't have DSTV. We'll see highlights soon, but thanks for your work. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. We play with a red card, says FD, although it is a red card that the All Blacks deserve. So it's one of those scenarios that, yes, they played with less men on the field, but the easiest way to not do that is to not give away red card offences. You know? Mark Talia now, only a few metres out. Faf de Klerk looking to strip that ball. Well held on to by Talia. Geordie Barrett, that ball is popped out the side, and Reinach gets it back now. South Africa, one last chance here. Easthuizen goes for the kicker behind. It's going to be a foot race, although actually there is a knock on, and we'll be going back for the end of this fixture. 35. No, they're still playing. The players want to continue. You talk way too much stuff, says George. That is what commentary is, George, just in case you were wondering. Game over, says Hensel. Officially the worst All Blacks loss ever, says Vic Mars. While the last minute mistake, says Rudolph. I think both sides slightly took their foot off the gas in those final few minutes, but that will be a dominant win for the Springboks here. 35 points to 7. Excuses for the red card, says Theko. Yeah, I feel like there's no excuse for the fact that they got the card. Like I said, at the end of the day, the best way to not play with less men on the field is to not end up getting carded. Massive crowd at the game, says Jane Hazy, in front of a sold-out Twickenham. 35 points to 7 in favour of South Africa. And thanks for the commentary, Europro, says Old Pump. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for the super commentary, says Justin there. Now, one of the biggest walkaways or takeaways, I would say, for the Springboks in this game is, yes, they got a massive victory, but we've got to remember as well, they walked away from this game almost completely injury-free. Dwayne Vermeulen had a little bit of a knock, same with Malcolm Marks, but they will be completely fine. For the All Blacks, they've lost Tyrell Lomax. I believe they may have lost Scott Barrett due to a suspension, and possibly Ethan de Groot as well. So not just getting outplayed on the field, but also losing a few players in the process. Thank you for the commentary, says Vickers. And thanks for dressing up for the commentary, Amish. Great words too, says Bill. Thank you very much, mate. And also we have got their fantastic commentary, Amish, says AD. And tell us again about the big three, France, Ireland and New Zealand. Although South Africa have always been counted in those top 4 sides, haven't they, when it comes to the rankings? And we have got there, I'm definitely coming back for this commentary, great stuff. Keep it up, and well done the Bok in there as well. And Kiwi Arrogance just bit them, says Democracy. And to be honest, it's a loss that some people have been expecting to come for a while. They didn't think it was coming in this game, and maybe that is going to be something that can benefit the All Blacks. As you guys know, I always like to look at the positives. And South Africa will have a huge amount of positives going into this World Cup, looking in some of the best form they have in quite some time after that victorious performance over Wales, and now beating the All Blacks by one of the biggest margins that they ever have. The All Blacks, they have taken that first loss since about 2022, somewhere around there. They had that draw with England in the November internationals. This is now one of those games, though, that it's either going to be make or break for the All Blacks. And I'm very curious to see how it does happen for them. Are you happy for the Boks? I am. At the end of the day, they've had a brilliant performance here. They were able to outmuscle the All Blacks. They were able to outplay them. Line-out steals were phenomenal. I've always told you guys I'm impartial in the games that we cover on the channel. And watching this one from a neutral perspective, the Springboks were just a league above the All Blacks out there on the field. Thanks, Hamish. Sparkling form from you as per usual. I feel sorry for France as the ABs will be hurting after this, says Charles. And love your commentary. You're the best, says Penelope. Thank you very much. And also we have got there in the chat, honestly, just shove the Kiwi Arrogance. What is Arrogance? Playing a full strength team. Piss off, says Simon. And we filled our trophy cabinet this year. Only room for one more trophy, says David. Is the game finished? It certainly is. It still says 80 minutes there, but it should. Hopefully, there we go. Has just updated and very sweet. Very good commentary. Hi from Germany, says Dan. Thanks for the commentary, buddy, says Mark. And as well, no worries. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because we have got plenty more rugby coming up, not just in the near future, but also for that Rugby World Cup. Later games today, Fiji versus England, and then alongside that, we are going to be covering Ireland versus Samoa, so be sure to check that out. We have got their hard game for the AB, says Gareth, and too many penalties, says Shane. Yep, discipline was a big problem for the All Blacks in this game. Your commentary is way better than in South Africa. Blessing, mate. Says Sean, thank you very much, mate. And where do you recommend watching the highlights? So the All Blacks YouTube channel should have the highlights. I believe that Sky Sports should also have the highlights on their channel. So be sure to check out one of those two. They are normally relatively quick. Love this channel. I'll be enjoying your commentary throughout the World Cup. Says Rick. And thanks, Hamish. You're a good sport, mate. Says Henk. And there as well. And what are the things Foster and Nabies need to sort out? Straight away, discipline, handling. Those are the two big ones in this game that certainly let them down. Giving away about 7 penalties in the first 10 minutes of the game was just too many, I would say. And we have got there stupid, says Benjamin. And there, and also we have got there cry more, says Cave Key. I don't know whether or not that's at me or whether it's at people in the chat. Great stuff, Hamish. I will be back. South Africa nailed on favourites now in our effing group, says YouTube. And the thing is, South Africa, like we've mentioned, they've got a few exciting games coming up for this Rugby World Cup. Looking through at who they will be facing first, they are going head-to-head with Scotland, sitting at 3:45 a.m. New Zealand time. That is in 16 days' time as well, and we will be covering that one on the channel. 1 a.m. game between South Africa and Romania. Then they've got that big game up against the Irish, and then Tonga, the last game of their Rugby World Cup campaign for the group stage, that is, until maybe they go through to that next stage, which at this stage I'd like to think is relatively likely. And what was the penalty count? 14 penalties against New Zealand, 11 against South Africa. At halftime, it was about 11 penalties against New Zealand, 5 against South Africa. So South Africa, the slightly more ill-disciplined team in the second half, whereas New Zealand, the more ill-disciplined in the first. We have got their beer incoming. See you in the next one. Great commentary, Hamish. Thanks, says Luca. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. And imagine you created one team, 15 Kiwis and 15 Boks. They would be invincible. I know there were talks about having a Southern Lions side that headed to the Northern Hemisphere, but I don't know whether or not anything actually came from that. And then great job commentating, like others have said, best commentary than any other channel, says Jan. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. New Zealand reverse psychology all week saying they're bringing the juice. They just want a video footage, says David Vickers. And thanks for the commentary, Kiwi lads. Well done and much appreciated. Cheers, says Nearus. Who got injured. So in this game, the worst of the injuries was probably Tyrell Lomax with a knee injury. Whether or not he plays in the World Cup, I believe he should still be all right, but it looked like he well and truly cut pretty much the whole of his kneecap off, which didn't look too flash. Ethan Negru had a couple little knocks. He went off a bit earlier than they first thought. And then also alongside that, maybe Luke Jacobson may have a concussion from Dwayne Vermeulen's fist. We have got their box scrum, showed their medal. Says Charles, they certainly did. And like I mentioned in that first game of the Rugby Championship, it seemed relatively even between the two sides in terms of back and forth penalties. This game was only one-way traffic pretty much the whole way through, and that was the Springboks. My first time in this commentary. Thanks, dude. Love the energy. Says Yassine, thank you very much. And speechless from Vic, leaving Lisbon to Dubai. My girlfriend said yes to marry me, says Samuel, so congratulations. Hopefully the wedding all goes well. And your kneecaps will be soon, or your kneecaps will be off soon. I assume that's off soon from Clinton. Although I don't really use my kneecaps that much, Clinton, so you can probably have them if you're really keen on taking them. Just make sure they go to a good home. The streamer is a legend. Says it's gamer. Our world champs are now top of the log. See you in church, Kiwis. Says the fearless Dave. And commentary every bit as entertaining and enthralling as I imagine the play was. Awesome jobs, says Nathan there. And also, will you stream the Warriors quarterfinal? I'm hoping to, although I'm worried that I will jinx the Warriors if I do end up giving them the chance. Looking at defenders beaten here. 14 defenders beaten for South Africa. 34 defenders beaten for New Zealand. So that's quite a surprising stat. The fact that New Zealand beat 20 more defenders in this game, which means that South Africa's tackling was probably a little bit less percentage-wise than they would normally like to go for, but the scoreboard says something completely different, and watching the game said something completely different as well. Hamish, would you pick Libbok or Pollard? I'll go Libbok. At the end of the day, Marnie Libbok, a lot of people who said how badly he played in the Welsh game with his kicking tee are now the same people who are praising him for the way that he kicked in this game up against the All Blacks and the way that he played overall. So like I said a little bit earlier on, anyone who is trying to say maybe Marnie Libbok doesn't deserve to be there because they want to see Pollard get the opportunity, just support Marnie Libbok. support your guy who's going to be playing a majority of this World Cup at fly half, because at the end of the day, like, you just got to make sure you get him behind the whole team. And at the end of the day, I think Manie Libbok slowly get in there. He's only a young player as well. Good answer, says Yazine. Give Libbok his due. He did kick well, says Charles. But yeah, anyone who is supporting Manie Libbok now, if he kicks badly in the first game of the World Cup, don't turn your back on him. Still support him. At the end of the day, he is the fly half. Well done, South Africa from Canada, I should say, from Hartley. So that's what it feels like to be a Bok fan. The amount of times we've whipped them. Sucks to be on the receiving end for once, says YW. Pollard better, says Paula B. Pollard may be better, but Pollard is broken. So if he's broken, Libbok's your guy. At the end of the day. You know, it's like saying Mornay Stain. Why don't we get him back? But Manie Libbok, he's the future for them. So you got to make sure you support him. Bring back Matanonu. Drop him if he kicks badly, says Charles. That's the mentality of some people, though. They say as soon as he's not kicking well, people forget in that game up against Wales, he got himself like 3 try assists. But no one remembered that. They remember the fact that his kicking accuracy was only like 20%. I'll still be a bit disappointed in the box because they didn't score from the many opportunities they had. But in saying that, they dominated, says Joe Webber. Yeah, they'll still look at this game and they'll learn from this matchup. They'll think of little things that they need to switch up. I think that overall, for the Springboks, their line-out and their set piece is going to be somewhere that they are extremely strong throughout the Rugby World Cup. Take nothing away from Pollard. He has the experience. Libbok, the underdog, has good attitude and form, says Yassine. And wonder how New Zealand come back from this, says Kershan. I mean, yes, it's a bigger loss than a lot of people would have been anticipating, but they'll have to look at this game as more of a learning one and try and work out exactly how they can fix that heading into their World Cup group. Now, the benefit the All Blacks have is a lot of people would say their group is nowhere near as competitive as what the Springboks have got for their group. So New Zealand versus France, yes, it's going to be a telling fixture, but as long as New Zealand win their other games, they are still through. So I guess they've got time to try and fix some of the problems that they've got. But of course they want to walk away with that first game up against France in the pocket, definitely in front of a away crowd, since France are going to be at home, would do a lot for the confidence. We have got Snyman and Klein were really good. Yeah, they were good off the bench. RG Snyman always going to be a danger. Although I think Mostert at number 5 for this game has almost cemented that spot now, which I don't think many people were saying before this game, but the way that he was able to get those line-out turnovers, if the Springboks can do that up against all of the sides in the World Cup, like, they're going to get so much more position, and it's going to be extremely handy for them. In that regard, first-time listeners, good job, Paul. Or good job, pal, I should say, sorry. And God bless you for the service you're in. Says, Mervyn, thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. Like I mentioned, we've got plenty more games coming up in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's stupid to replace Mapimpi with Reinach, although that seems to be something that the Springboks may be considering in the future because of the fact that they've gone with the 4 halfbacks. They will probably end up playing one man out on the wing. More than likely, it will be Reinach or Williams who makes their transition out onto that wing. And where are we, says Jacqueline? At the moment, the end of the game. 35 points to 7 on the clock. And Khaleesi was very good, I stand corrected. See, he's another player that a lot of people felt they were almost criticising him before they had seen him in action. You know, because last year, before he got injured, he was in some tremendous form, doing very well for the Springboks, and then as soon as he got injured, because everyone else was still playing and everyone else was fresh in the mind, everyone then decided, hey, like, I don't think they said Khaleesi wasn't up to par, but then as soon as he's come back from injury, he's picked up from where he left off, which is brilliant news for the Springboks there as well. First time in the series so far, the Boks was contesting lineouts and it was brilliant, says Foley. So yeah, something that they will definitely have to look at using for the future. We have got their Pollard all day. Money can't kick. Bad in the air will be targeted under the high ball. Nervy, also a poor tackler and prone to knock-ons. You need to be a 10. Okay, I'll shut up and get behind Money. At the end of the day, if Pollard's injured, that's the only thing you can do. And I know that for Limsa, from watching this game, he's a 15. I know that they've tried him at 10 a couple times, not really successfully. He's at 15. If Vili Leroux isn't available, I think Damien Valimza will more than happily step up to that number 15 role. Does Scooter's red card mean he's out for the next match? Says Linton. It's a bit of a weird one because it initially was given as a yellow card for the challenge on the ground. I believe that it will be probably leading to a 3-match ban for Scott Barrett, which is the last thing the All Blacks wanted, seeing as they have already lost Retallick due to the injury. Barrett out for the World Cup. I don't know about the whole World Cup. I think he'll be out for the first few games, though, if it does end up going to the red card. And still a good game, though, says Philemon. Yeah, it was an entertaining game of rugby to watch. And yes, it would have been very frustrating for a few All Black supporters watching this game, seeing so many penalties, seeing the knock-ons every time they tried to get it out that back line. But you can't help but admire the way that the Springboks played in this game. They showed that they are a real contender. They came in as underdogs for this fixture, and they pretty much said, nope, it's not the case. The Qatar Airways Cup has been won by the Springboks. They had to add that to the cabinet alongside that recent 2019 Rugby World Cup. How about Kanamuti? He looked very strong at number 13. And once again, the Springboks in this game, I think it answered a lot of questions for them because, you know, if you end up seeing Jesse Kriel get himself injured throughout, let's say, the first 1 or 2 games, they now know that Kanamuti will more than happily take that spot and do relatively well in it. We have got their condolences to the All Blacks at large, says Mokitski, and also the Scots are going to get the same treatment as the ABs, says Jose. And great win, nothing new. A stop-start game and able to outmuscle the ABs highlights issues New Zealand must address. Scrum line-out discipline. France to put 50 on them in similar circumstances, says PT Rock. And a great wake-up call, says Owen. Yeah, it's exactly what they probably needed at this point. They're talking to Sam Cane. He'll be disappointed with how they played. 3 yellow cards. Well, one of them turned into a red. Sam Cane saying it was great to play in front of a Twickenham crowd that they don't normally get to play in front of. And I'm smiling as I won some dollars on the box, says Judith, and All Blacks were bullied right from the beginning. Says comment, well, yeah, out physicality by the Springboks, line-out time, a lot more success coming the way of the Boks, and just repeated infringements from the All Blacks throughout that first 10 minutes, set for a very long game and possibly quite a nil discipline one. And good win by South Africa, though, capitalised on it. Defending chance for a reason, come back strong, boys, says Audio. Exactly right. Like the Springboks, we saw their game up against Wales, and some people were questioning whether or not it was because of Wales' side or whether it was because the Springboks were finding some brilliant form. The answer seems to be that brilliant form, and that is exactly what they want. Heading into their group up against Scotland, up against Wales, or sorry, not Wales, up against Ireland. We have got there from Grifter, Grow Up Limited Mind. Says Grifter, I don't know whether or not that's to me or someone in the chat. I'm looking through for someone called Limited Mind and I'm not seeing them, so I assume he's talking to me. Maybe. Possibly. We have got there, man, I miss the old blokes who knew real rugby, not these plums, says Clinton. And can a player be replaced in a squad if he receives a red card with a 6-week ban? I'd assume so, as long as it's before the Rugby World Cup starts. And actually, no, you might be able to replace him even during the Rugby World Cup. Sam Cane, disappointment isn't enough. He's an embarrassment, worst All Blacks captain in my opinion, says CK. Although, to his credit for Sam Cane, this is his first loss in about 11 games. They had a draw with England. Every other game from there, the All Blacks have walked away with victories. So, you know, it's unfortunate that it's the game just before the World Cup and it's the one that people will be remembering. But he's had a relatively decent 2023 so far, Sam Cane. And bro, I didn't even watch the game and I already know Sam Cane is actually useless as captain. We need a radio, the real man. We need radio, the real man, the real captain. Radio, is that like, who's radio? Oh, yeah, I've got the All Blacks got humbled today, says Judith there. And Michael Caine is better, says Krampus. And also we have got there, and then Chat LeBock made a solid shift. He did. I feel like he's one of those strong men in that back line for the Springboks. Andre Esterhuizen, he did extremely well. No excuse, biggest point margin, 95 years. Says Xavier there. And Box found answer to the AB's backline play. Coaching staff is very clever for South Africa. And great commentary, says Tyrone. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. But anyone wondering what games we have got coming up in the near future, we are covering 2 games on the Sunday morning. England versus Fiji, as well as Ireland taking on the Samoans. And then Fiji versus France versus Australia taking place on Monday morning. We are also going to be having that game on the channel as well. But yeah, 28-point defeat is the largest loss in All Blacks history. And I assume that's not just to the Springboks either. That is in general. So talk about being at rock bottom before having to be at the top for that Rugby World Cup just around the corner. Going to be interesting. see how they approach it. Thanks for the commentary, Kiwi Lad. Great job, says Scott David George. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. But nonetheless, I think we are almost at the end of this live stream. I have appreciated every single one of you for being here. If you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you do want to help us out and you do want exclusive emojis, be sure to check out the pinned comment. It is for the membership on the channel where you will have access to a whole heap of little added goodies. But thank you all very much for tuning in. We will have a post-match review coming on the channel relatively soon as well. So be sure to see that. And I will see you all tonight for England versus Fiji, where I'm sure we will still end up talking about this game a little bit, but it is going to be a very entertaining one indeed. But thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you all for the next one.